This YouTube video is going to be the most detailed YouTube course you've ever seen in your life. And before you just trust me to give you all of this info, I'll give you my background. My name is Eddie Eisner. I'm 21 years old and I've been running YouTube channels for the past 5 years now. In that time frame, I've generated over $1 million on YouTube. Now this channel that I'm showing on screen in the past 90 days alone has made $4,500. But what you might have not realized about this channel is that it is inactive. Here's another inactive channel in the last 28 days making $635. In the last 90 days made over $2,000. And although that doesn't seem like a lot, I haven't uploaded in over a year. So this is making $500 to $1,000 a month just paying for my food for the month. And keep in mind, these are just 2 of my inactive channels, not even showing my active ones. And just to show, I'm running a ton of active channels. I even have a channel I can show you where today I made over $1,000. As you can see, this is the latest day. If I do last 7 days, if I do last 28 days, this is the very latest day. If I press on settings, as you can see, this is USD, US dollar. I can press on it, press close. This is still here. This channel got monetized September 1st, and it's been doing between 50 to some days, $281, $213 here, but it did over $1,300 today because the channel just started blowing up. And for tomorrow, it should be around $1,000 as well. But now I'm going to show you my bank account and my Google AdSense because I just don't care anymore. Now, for obvious reasons, I have to be very careful with what I show here. But this is Google AdSense, as you can see by the link, adsense.google.com. This is the last month that I've been paid for, which, as you can see here, is $26,777.53 from YouTube. And if I switch to summary view and then I switch it back to detailed transaction, you can see I'm not cutting the video and this is the same amount. And it even says amount in parentheses USD. And now for the final little bit of proof, as you can see at the URL, it is secure.chase.com. If I refresh the page, I'm not going to cut any of this, still secure.chase.com. Everything is blurred for an obvious reason, but I'm going to unblur it in just a sec once I get down to that YouTube payment with the exact amount. It's going to be on August 21st. And now I'm going to stop moving. I'm going to unblur right here, as you can see at the bottom of the screen, Org Co. name Google Org. I don't really know what this means, but it's ACH credit for the exact same amount of $26,777.53. Now let's get into the course. So let's get into the YouTube success strategy. This is going to be the complete guide to understanding and beating the algorithm. And in the first little bit, we're not going to go into how to create your channel and all that. There's a lot that you need to actually learn about YouTube and its algorithm before you get into doing anything. Otherwise, you won't know why you're doing what you're doing. But trust me, you need to learn this, and a lot of people will not talk about this. The first thing you need to do is just in general understand how YouTube thinks. And what I mean is from a business perspective. What is YouTube as a company? How do they make money? Things of that nature. So the truth is, YouTube makes money primarily through ad revenue. Just when an ad is watched or when you watch an ad on YouTube, YouTube is getting money. So their goal is pretty simple. Have as many ads watched as possible to maximize revenue. And if we want to be even more specific, YouTube takes around 50% of every ad watched. And I'm sure you know some creators make millions of dollars, and there's like 1 million creators on YouTube. So through the millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in ad revenue given to every YouTuber, YouTube is actually making that same amount because they take 50% of all ads. So yeah, YouTube makes a lot of money. Because of this, the algorithm cannot be random. And you might say, well, why does this core truth that I've written here mean that the algorithm cannot be random? Well, once again, you have to think about this from a business perspective. YouTube, of course, has an algorithm. You can't deny that. But people like to think that it's random. This simply cannot be true because if it was random, YouTube would be leaving how many ads being watched on their platform kind of in the air up to a random algorithm. Now, although this might work, that's not going to maximize how much money they're making. And as a business, their goal is just make as much money as possible. So they have a team of hundreds of people that have been working for YouTube for many, many years. They've been around for almost 20 years at this point. So I promise you, they're still working on just making sure that their algorithm is going to output as many ads as possible. So the algorithm literally cannot be random. Otherwise, this would be the worst business of all time because they're just leaving how much money they're making up in the air. It's really important to understand this. There is a 0% chance it's random. Now, why is this important? Well, it's pretty simple. If there is a set algorithm that isn't random, that means you, yes, you can learn it. And if you learn YouTube's algorithm, you are destined to be a millionaire. Meaning if you can really truly understand all aspects of it. Now that sounds far-fetched, but we're going to get into that. Now one thing to note about the algorithm is that oversaturation is real. If YouTube already knows viewers will watch a lot of ads on established creators' videos, why would they risk testing your content in the same niche? So let's say there's 10 celebrity news channels. So anytime there's news with Mr. Beast or Kai Cenat or some big streamer, there's a news channel for it. If there's already 10 channels in that niche and they've been around for 1, 2, 3 years, YouTube knows, okay, people like this content, there's nothing wrong with this content, people are going to this content and watching a lot of ads, which is great. Now, if you as a creator say, hey, this niche is getting a lot of views, let me just jump into it without doing any research on the niche, guess what? YouTube will never give you any views at all. In some cases, you'll literally get 0 impressions, meaning nobody will even see the video. And sometimes people think they're shadow banned when they're not. It's just because they went into a super oversaturated niche because, for example, in that niche, YouTube already has its 10 established creators who have been on the platform for so long that they know, okay, these creators are going to maximize how many ads are watched for this type of content. So if you come in and try celebrity news, that's just an example. I don't know if this is oversaturated, but in this specific example, now that you came in maybe a year, 2 years after all of these established creators got established, YouTube's not going to split test and be like, oh, we're going to take the viewers from these channels and give it to a random new channel when they already know that those established channels will maximize how much money they are making. Once again, think about this from a business perspective. Once again, like I said, since we know the algorithm exists and isn't random, we can learn it, which is what we're going to do in this video. Now let's go over the YouTube push order, meaning how does YouTube push out videos into the algorithm? Like when you go on YouTube and you see a video, why do you have that video on your recommended? Now, a lot of people think there's a lot of different factors and it's a lot more simple than you might think, or at least it can be simply put, and I'll show you how to put it simply. Number 1, YouTube is going to look at your title. Number 2, YouTube will look at your thumbnail. And number 3, YouTube will look at your AVD, which is your watch time. In specific, it means average viewer duration. So if you have a 10-minute video and the average viewer watches 3 minutes, your AVD is 30%. Now, why is this important, right? This seems so simple, just 1, 2, 3, right? This is important because you need to understand that if your title is bad, then nobody's gonna see your thumbnail, right? Because the order is YouTube takes your title and then based on your title will decide, is this a good topic to push into somebody's recommended? So if they think so, then they'll push out the video, right? Because YouTube's not looking at your thumbnail. How are they going to do that? This is an algorithm, right? So they're literally only looking at your title. So if your title is bad, guess what? Thumbs down. Nobody's seeing your thumbnail, meaning nobody's clicking on your thumbnail, so you're never going to get an AVD. You're never going to get any watch time, right? So people talk about, oh, the thumbnail is so important. Let's focus on a 4-hour video on the thumbnail, which the thumbnail is important, of course, but you got to realize that if you just put no focus on the title, which I see a lot of people on YouTube not mentioning at all, then nobody's even going to see your thumbnail. So this is the order that they push it. So first your title needs to be good, then people need to click on your video, right? That your thumbnail needs to be good, then your AVD needs to be good for it to continue getting pushed. So in order to rephrase that very simply, if your title is good, YouTube will recommend it to people on their page for testing, right? And then if the click-through rate is good, right, if people are clicking on the thumbnail, then YouTube's like, oh, people are interested in this title and thumbnail. So if a lot of people are clicking on it, then it's going to move over to the watch time. And now it's going to see, okay, now that people are clicking on this thumbnail, are they watching the video? And if the answer is no, then it's going to stop getting views. And this is why some videos will get like 1, 2, 3,000 views. It's because, okay, their title's good, then their thumbnail's good, but then people don't end up watching the video. The video is very low watch time, which is why you get like the test impressions, then they give more for having a good thumbnail, and then it stops here. Now, in order for you to break out, get 10, 20, 30, 100,000 views, a million views, you need to have all of these be good. There's no, oh, 1 of the 3 can be good or 2 of the 3 can be good. It's 3 of the 3 can be good, and if not, you're just not gonna get views. But like I said, if the title isn't good, you're gonna get 0 views. If the title is good, you might get a few hundred views if the thumbnail is bad. But if the title and the thumbnail is good, you might get a few thousand views if the AVD is bad. But if you have a good title, good thumbnail, good AVD, then it's just based on how many people would watch that type of video. So your view cap is really unlimited once you meet all 3 of these. Now, that was a lot of yap, but that is really important, trust me. And if you're not taking notes, I will say right here, I guarantee you, if you just have a Google Doc or like a physical notepad, like, I have notebooks, for example, right here, like I take notes all the time. Take notes on this video because I'm going to make sure this is the best and most in-depth video that's on YouTube automation. So critical point, like I said, just rephrasing, even if you have the best video ever created, like let's say you made an absolute movie, a cinema, and you had the best thumbnail. You paid $1 million for the best thumbnail artist ever. And this is regarded as the best video ever and the best thumbnail ever on planet Earth. But then you just have a bad title. Guess what? 0 views. It's really that serious. So the title itself is actually the most important thing, right? Because if we go importance order, I put number 1 as the title, because if the title's not good, you're getting 0 views. So the title consists of 2 things, which is your video topic and how you word that video topic. So really, your title is pretty much your video topic. How you word it is, of course, important for sure. But, how can you come up with a title without a topic? So really, the title is split into 2 things. So there's actually 4 things here. And before the title would be video topic. But YouTube doesn't know your video topic by using their algorithm. They're just looking at your title, which is why I have this written here. But just keep in mind that this first thing is actually split up into 2 parts, your video topic and how you word that topic. So in order to rephrase that, the most important thing to get views on YouTube is going to be your video topic, not the title, right? Because the title is just how you word the topic. So that even comes before the title. And then the video topic, well, how do you get a video topic, right? It actually splits even further into your channel niche, which is the topic of your channel. Are you doing cooking? Are you doing gaming? Well, that type of thing. So how are you going to create a video topic? Like, how are you going to get a video topic to make a video on if you don't have a channel niche? So just in general on YouTube, the general rule is you don't want a channel where you have a cooking video here, a Call of Duty video here, a history video here. If you know anything about YouTube, which if you don't, this is why I'm saying this for those that don't, your channel, the generalized topics of all of your videos need to be in the same category. So if you're doing a history channel, you best believe all of your videos are going to be about history. So in general, the video topic comes from your channel niche. So this video topic splits as well. So if we were to really order this, the most important thing would be your channel niche. The second most important thing would be your video topic. The third most important thing would be how you word that topic, aka your title, then your thumbnail, then your AVD. And notice how people are always talking about thumbnail and how to increase your AVD when these are actually the least 2 important things. Now keep in mind, do not take that out of context. Like I said, everything has to be good to get views. So don't be like, okay, well, I'm going to prioritize making sure this is great. No, just people, I really wanted to make sure that you understand this because people just skip how important the channel niche is. Not everybody, but a lot of people do. And then people definitely skip the video topic and the video title and just skip straight to thumbnail. And it's like, you need to make sure all of those things, all of those 5 things are good. So like I said, your title, thumbnail, and AVD should all be good. A good title gives you impressions, but a bad thumbnail will stop those impressions from coming in, which impressions just means how many people will see your video on the recommended page. And then a good thumbnail with low AVD will stop YouTube from giving more impressions. So just saying, everything has to be good. Niche and sub-niche strategy. This is going to be the topic for the next portion. Now for the niche and sub-niche strategy. Your niche is going to lead to your video topic, which leads to your title, which leads to the thumbnail, then the AVD. Now, we just went over that, so let's go over understanding niche structure. Every single niche or channel on YouTube has 2 segments, the broad niche and the sub niche. So to put it simply, broad niche plus sub niche equals a channel niche. So the broad niche is going to be a generalized topic such as basketball, such as Call of Duty, such as cooking or history. And the sub niche is going to be the specific focus. For example, if we do basketball as the broad niche, the sub niche would be highlights. So your channel niche would be basketball highlights. And in this type of channel, yes, every single video you're going to post is only basketball highlights. You don't do basketball highlights, then basketball news, then basketball documentary. Every video on the channel would be basketball highlights. For Call of Duty, there's tons of, sub niches you could do. You could do like Call of Duty voice trolling, Call of Duty just gameplay, competitive gameplay, Call of Duty patch notes news. There's a ton of sub niches you could do inside of a broad niche. Inside of cooking, you could do cooking tutorials as your sub niche. Or it could just be cooking for fun. There's also a ton of sub-niches there. History could be a broad niche, and then the specific sub-niche is going to be, the world. So your channel niche will be world history. Or it could be United States history, or, whatever history. So keep in mind, any channel you see on YouTube will always have a broad niche and a sub-niche. First thing you should do is next time you're on YouTube, just challenge yourself. Try and figure out if you can understand what the broad niche is and what the sub-niche is. Because once you can do that, you're going to have a really easy time finding a niche in the future. We'll go over how that is important and how it ties in later as to finding a niche. But trust me, it's very important that you could just distinct between the broad niche and the sub niche of any channel you find. Now, a third term, the niche pool. What is the niche pool? Well, the niche pool is the total videos in a niche. So let's say we have basketball highlights as our specific channel niche where, as I just said, the broad niche is basketball, sub-niche is highlights. So the channel niche is basketball highlights. So let's say we have the basketball highlights niche on YouTube. If 3 of these basketball highlights channels have 10 videos each, that means that there's 30 videos in the niche pool. So of course there's way more than 3 basketball highlights channels on YouTube, but this is just an example. So let's say there were exactly 3 basketball highlights channels on YouTube, and they each had 10 videos. Well, 10 times 3 is 30. So although yes, each channel might have 10 videos, in total there are 30 videos in the niche pool, and nobody talks about this. I've never seen anybody talk about this, so I had to make my own term for it. I don't think there's another term for it. So we're gonna use niche pool because, I don't know, it sounds cool. And like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, I've literally never seen anybody mention this, and this is insanely important, which is why it's crazy I've never seen anybody mention this. Maybe I'm accidentally like leaking stuff and people will be mad at me, but this is important. And as we go through, the niche stuff, you'll see why this is important. So this is pretty much just identifying what these 3 terms mean, because I'm gonna be using them a lot, in the coming little bit. So niche criteria, very important. Why is this very important? Because this is the criteria as to how you're gonna pick your niche when you choose a channel. So I have 2 main criteria, and those criteria are gonna be the channel age, and that's just gonna be less than 6 months old. So check the channel that you're looking at and check when their first upload was, not when the channel was created. I'll just show this channel for example. If we go to their videos and sort by oldest, you can see that this channel is 4 months old. Now, if this said 6 months, that actually means it's over 6 months old. So this should say 5 months ago or less than that. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 month ago, or a few weeks ago, or a few days ago. Now, a lot of people will tell you to look at the channel age. So if you go to like more, for example, it tells you that this channel was created on February 26, 2022. So this channel was created almost 4 years ago at this point, but their first video is actually 4 months old. So we just use an age channel. But yeah, so this channel would work because it's less than 6 months old, and that's just criteria number 1. Now, when I say this channel would work, I don't mean this is a good niche. I just mean it meets criteria number 1. Because just a spoiler, this channel does not meet the criteria of being a good niche at this point because of the other criteria that's going to limit it. But it passes criteria number 1. So the channel age is going to matter a lot. So I kind of have a little chart here. You can, if you find something in the middle of this or in the middle of this, you can guess, but this is a generalized guide. I just put 5 different stamps here. So if you find a channel that's, 5 months old, so it says 5 months ago, it's possible, but it's not optimal, right? If you find a channel that's 3 months old as their first video, that's like pretty average. 2 months is good. 1 month old is great. And if you find something that's like a week old, that's S+ tier. A few days old is S+ tier. You know what I mean? And then you can, figure it out yourself what 3 weeks would be. Like it'd be in between S+ tier and great. So this is important if you're taking notes, which you should be. If you want to be successful, why are you not taking notes? But yeah, you should probably write this down, this little thing I wrote here. Now, this is another thing I never see anybody talking about. They just talk about, sometimes they'll talk about channel age, but even a lot of people don't talk about that. But this criteria is just as important as the age of the channel, 15 videos or less. Because the more videos there are in your niche, the more competition there is for the viewer's attention. And this is because, let's say you find a channel and they have 300 videos, but they're a month old. I mean, that's a little bit ridiculous, but just as an example. So it's like, okay, well then this is in the great category as for channel age, but then they have 100 videos, meaning if you were to start a channel in the exact same niche, do you know what's going to happen? Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. A viewer that's interested in this content, right? YouTube has an algorithm to know what a viewer wants to watch, of course, but that's not very relevant. What's important is that the viewer that wants to watch this type of content, I'll just use, let's say NBA highlights again, basketball highlights. If a new channel comes out and has 100 videos in a month. So yeah, they're in the great category for channel age, but if they have 100 videos and then you go and upload your first video, for example, well, guess what? People that are interested in basketball highlights have 100 videos that they could get recommended before yours, which, because, 1 month old isn't enough data for YouTube to say a channel's established and not allow any new channels to be created. But now the problem is a viewer will have the option to see either one of his 100 videos of the, your channel competitor or your one video. So there's a 1 in 101 chance that your video will be recommended, assuming like it's the exact same quality as your competitors, which isn't great. And with 15 videos or less, that is completely fine, because let's say a niche has 10 million viewers. If there's only like 15 videos to watch and then you put a 16th video out, you're fine. And this is going to work the same way. The less videos, the better. So if let's say you find a week old channel that has 3 videos that are doing good, like that is insanely good. But I would say that isn't as strict for this, right? Like 10 videos is probably the same as 15, 5 is probably the same as like, it doesn't matter that much. As long as it's like 15 videos or less, I'd say that's pretty safe. Now, if you want to know specifically why 6 months plus is too old, is because typically once a niche is 6+ months old, that's around the time, between like 6 months and a year, is around the time where YouTube will start to say, hey, this is an established channel. So if a basketball highlights niche is out and it hits the 6-month mark, maybe not exactly on 6 months, but maybe 7 or 8 months in, YouTube's going to kind of close off that niche and say, okay, we know that for basketball highlights, if we want the most amount of ads watched, we're just going to give it to this guy's channel. Or if there's multiple channels, we'll give it to this channel, this channel, and this channel. Any new channels, we're not even going to try testing because we already got our guys for basketball highlights. It's pretty much what they're doing. Now, once you find a channel that is less than 6 months old, and ideally, as close to, S+ tier as possible or even better, and you find a channel that has 15 videos or less, then you found your niche. But that's where people typically stop, and that's why people typically fail. So you should write this down if you're writing stuff down. And if you're not writing stuff down, just remember this, please. You have 2 ideal targets once you find your niche. So yes, you found a niche that meets both criteria, but now there's something else you have to do, which is to verify that this niche isn't oversaturated. Because if we go back up, remember, oversaturation is real. It's not a myth, guys. So the ideal targets is, in general, there should be 5 or fewer total channels in the specific niche. So if it's basketball highlights, sorry for keep on using it, but it could be any niche, but I'm just going to keep using it just to make this consistent. But if there's 5 or fewer total channels in the niche, so let's say we find a channel that's a month old and it has 12 videos and it's in the basketball highlights niche, great. Now we're going to move on to this right here, which is like verifying that the niche isn't oversaturated. So you found a good niche, and I need to verify, is it oversaturated? So if there's 5 or fewer total channels in the specific niche, you're good. So let's say there's 4. Great, we're good. And in this case, the less the better. I like to have at least one other channel besides the competitor, because then that gives us more proof of concept that this is like a niche that can get views. So my ideal mark is 2. In order, I'd probably give it like 2, and then is the ideal, and then 1 and 3 is equal, then 4 is worse, and 5 is worse. And anything more that I just won't even bother doing. So 5 or fewer totals in the niche. So let's say there's 4, like I said. So we're still good, but then here, back to the niche pool, and nobody talks about this, but this is so important. There should be less than 50 videos in the niche pool. Now keep in mind, with any of these numbers, let's say there's like 57 videos in the niche pool or 60, I'm sure it's fine. But if you're a beginner and you really, or just really anybody, and you want like a 95, 99% chance of your video getting, your channel doing well, like if you want 100, like there's a way that you can have 100% chance of your video or of your channel getting views. Let's say you find a week-old channel that has 5 videos and there's 2 channels, and in total there's like 20 videos in the niche pool. The odds of you not blowing up is like, I'm being so serious, is actually just 0%. So, but that's like unrealistic to find something so great. Although it's happened to me before, but keep in mind, I've been doing this for 5 years. So less than 50 videos in the niche pool. So let's say there's 4 channels in this specific niche. So, you meet ideal target number 1. Then number 2, let's say the channel you're looking at has 12 videos. And then the other 3 channels, let's say they all have 20. 3 times 20 is 60, plus like the original channel you found, another 12. So that's 72 videos in the niche pool. That is too many videos in the niche pool, because it ties back to the same thing. If you upload your video, now your one video is competing with the 72 other videos. So you have a 1 in 73 chance of a viewer finding your video. So as long as it's 50 or less, I'd say that's pretty ideal. So let's say there were 4 channels and they each had 12 videos. Then that's 48 videos in the niche pool. Then you're good. So you really got 2 criteria to find the niche, and then 2 criteria to find out if the niche is oversaturated. Now each have 2, because they're equally as important. You need to find a good niche, and you need to make sure it's oversaturated. If all 4 aren't correct here, because a lot of you will get lazy and like want to be like, oh, one of these is, missing. Yeah, just do something else. YouTube is not for you if you're too lazy to even do 4 things here. I'm just being honest, right? This is a business. People make millions of dollars a month doing this. I've made multiple 6 figures in a month before doing this. So please just listen to my advice. I'm doing this, I'm giving you guys, some free advice here. So just not to be harsh, but honestly, if you're too lazy, then business just is not for you, or just do a different business. Now, common mistakes to avoid. Now, if you guys don't know, I actually run a mentorship, but wait, I am not gonna sell you guys that mentorship. Right now, like, I have too many students, so I don't publicly advertise it. So genuinely, that might sound like BS, but I'm not trying to promote that. I've been teaching this for over a year privately. So with teaching the amount of people that I've taught, I've gathered the common mistakes list, which is actually really good for you because now I know how to teach people this a little bit better. So common mistakes to avoid. The most common mistake I see is people will look for niches until they get bored. So they'll spend 3-4 days, maybe an hour a day, and then they'll be like, I found 5 niches that almost meet this. Like, they'll find something that meets the niche criteria, but then, there's 100 videos in the niche pool, or, they'll find 2 of the 4 here or 1 of the 4 here even sometimes. So the most common mistake is people will look for 4 hours, write down these niches, which you shouldn't even be writing down niches if they don't meet this criteria. And the reason for this is because then you'll have a big list. Let's say like you do 4 days, an hour a day, and you end up having 7 niches to look through. But none of them meet all 4 of these criteria here. What's going to end up happening is you're just going to have a list of mediocre niches, and then these people end up getting bored of niche research, and they realize, I want to put 4 hours in 4 days and become a millionaire, because I'll be honest, they're just a little bit delusional that they don't realize that it takes work to build a business. Like, you really want to be your own boss, work on your own hours, work from wherever you want, and make up to 6-7 figures a month, and you want to do it in 4 hours. I don't know. I think it's a little bit delusional, but whatever. But the problem is, going back to this, is they end up picking the best mediocre niche. Because, right, you have a list of 7 mediocre niches, and then they'll go through the 7, and then they'll get this dopamine rush. Like, oh, this one of the 7 is the best of the 7, so I'm going to go into it. And then they totally fail, and they're like, why did I fail? I had a huge dopamine rush that I chose the best on my list when they made a list of mediocre niches. That's genuinely the most common mistake. This sounds so dumb, but I promise you, I've taught all of this stuff that I'm showing you guys here, and maybe a little bit less because I've learned what needs to be put in here, what doesn't need to be taught, and this is actually just the most common mistake that I see. So this just leaves you with the best of the mediocre niches, which is just not ideal at all, right? We want a 90+% chance of your niche doing good. That's always ideal, 90 plus. The second you do this, you're getting, like, keep in mind, it's possible, right? It's possible to have 3 of these and then still blow up. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible, but your chances, if you have all 4 of these, I'm actually saying 85% plus. And if it's at like the high end, like I said, like 1 week old, 5 videos, then you have a 100% chance. So the thing is, when you do this, you're giving yourself, maybe in some cases, I'm seeing a 20% or 30% chance that I'm kind of guessing when I see them pick their niche from the start, and they just don't listen to my advice, and they end up going ahead with the niche anyways for whatever reason, and then they fail. And they're like, well, why did I fail? I kind of just got to explain to them what I already explained before, but, they didn't listen the first time. So that's just the most common mistake that I see. So I know it sounds like I'm being harsh, but at this point, anybody that's watching this and is taking my word seriously, I honestly hope the best for you. I truly mean that, because if you're spending the time listening to me, that's all I could ever ask for. So the fact that you're listening to me, I just want to be harsh so that you can know not to do it. So do not just read this, write this down. If you haven't written anything down at this point, write this down. I don't care, write it on a whiteboard. This is the most common mistake on why people fail on YouTube. I promise you 1,000%, 1,000,000% that this is the most common mistake. So what should you do instead to avoid this, mistake? You should be looking at niches every day, no matter what. You shouldn't skip a day, 7 days a week. I'm not telling you have to spend 10 hours a day, but you should spend between 1 and 3 hours every single day. Ideally, if you can, split it up, maybe morning, evening, night, because if you have different sessions, there's like a higher chance of something popping out that wouldn't have popped out if you did it just like 3 hours in one session. But you should be looking for niches 7 days a week, and you should never, ever, ever get into a niche until you find a niche that meets all 4 of these criteria. So you shouldn't be writing down these mediocre niches. You should be waiting until a niche comes to you. So instead of being like, oh, I need to find a niche, okay, this is the best niche, it should just be like, okay, I'm going to sit here and have like the mental dedication that's like, if you can't find a niche for 50 days, then you're not going to start a channel for 50 days. And although that's a little bit exaggerated because it doesn't take that long to find a niche, but it can definitely take like up to a month to find a great niche. So people don't realize that some people will go watch this video and they'll go to YouTube and they'll find a niche in their first 5 minutes if they just get lucky by finding a niche like that. Or some people will take 30 days and anything in between. But you got to realize that. And you got to have that mental fortitude that I'm not just, okay, I'm just going to look for niches. And then once I'm bored of niche, like looking at niches, I'm going to pick the best mediocre niche I have. No, just only wait until you shouldn't have a niche list. You should just wait until you find a niche that has all these criteria and then immediately jump into it. And that goes into the next common mistake, the second most common mistake, which is people will find a good niche. And I've actually seen this happen. This happened just a few weeks ago. I had somebody find a good niche that met all of these criteria here. The channel was 2 weeks old. The channel that they found had 3 videos. There was only like one other guy in the niche doing it. I think there was less than 10 videos in the niche pool. There was 2 channels, which means that this was S+ tier. Now, granted, that specific channel, it wasn't getting like millions of views. It was getting like between 50 to 100,000 views on each video in the niche pool. But that's still a channel that can make you $5,000, $10,000 a month for sure. So I would say in that case, he had like a 95% plus chance of doing well. But he did the second most common mistake, which honestly broke my heart a little bit, because the most common mistake, if you avoid that and you get to this, it's just unfortunate. But just write both of these down, because I'm telling you, I've worked with so many people, and these are the most 2 common mistakes. So it's either they do the first common mistake or they manage to avoid the first common mistake and they hit the second most common mistake, which only occurs if you avoid the first one. That's the only way you can hit the second one. You can't do both at the same time. And that's because you find a good niche, which is great, of course, but then they take too long to get their first video out. Because every second you wait increases the chance of more competition. Once you find a niche, maximize your workload immediately. Meaning, let's say you're doing 1 hour a day of niche research, and on day 15, you find your niche. That once again meets all 4 of these criteria here. Your workload should jump to every millisecond of the day you have free time. You like going out with your friends? Boop, no. You want to go biking or something? Boop, no. Every free time, if you have work, if you have school, I get it. But every free second of your day should be you working on getting your first video out until your first video is out, okay? Like if you got 10 hours of free time in a day, then you're working 10 hours until you get that video out. And that's just the truth of the matter. Because let me put this in a way that you'll understand based on if you watched everything else before this. Number 1, the longer a channel is out, the higher the chance that YouTube will solidify this niche and say, okay, nobody else can get into this niche because we already know that these are guys that will have the highest ad watch time. So by taking too long, that's a possibility. Number 2, the niche pool, right? What if you find a channel that has 40 videos in the niche pool and then you take so long, by the time you get your first video out, there's 100 videos in the niche pool. Well, guess what? By the time you're getting your video out, ideally there should still be less than 50 videos in the niche pool. Otherwise, then by the time you create your channel, right, it's not meeting the criteria anymore. Like it used to meet the criteria, but then it doesn't. Same thing, if you take too long, more channels could be created. Let's say there's 4, and by the time you get your first video out, there's 7 channels now. Now you took too long, right? So there's so many things here, like in the criteria, like the age of the channel, how many videos that channel has, right? If they had 12 videos, but by the time you get your video out, they have 20 videos. There's a ton of stuff like that. So everything we talked about before, pretty much over time could increase, right? Their channel age, the fact that YouTube could like close off the niche, the fact that your competitor could upload more videos, more competitors could be made, more videos could enter the niche pool. Every time I find a niche, I always have the first video out, no matter how difficult the niche is, within 48 hours of me finding that niche, always. And that's like the long end. Sometimes I'll get a video out within 24 hours. And I mean, granted, I have more experience, so I know how to get videos out quickly, but it's like ideally, even as a complete beginner, you need to get the first video out within 72 hours. Like the second you find that good niche, I'm not even joking, write this down. Set a timer on your phone or somewhere, a 72-hour timer, and if you don't have your video out, you're like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, you just don't want it bad enough. So if you can find out if you want it bad enough, the second you find the niche, set a timer, and it's like if your video's not out in 72 hours, you just don't want it bad enough. It's that simple. And somebody else will take your spot in that niche, and then they'll be making, the 10, 20K a month. Now, what if you find a channel that, meets the channel age and has, 15 videos or less, but there's more than 5 channels, or there's more than 50 videos in the niche pool? Well, because these are targets and they're not necessarily like criteria, I know I labeled it as that when I was speaking earlier, but in general, these are the criteria, and then these are the criteria for making sure that a channel is not saturated. But the niche itself is still good. So you have a niche that's good, but the niche is saturated. So is there anything you could do? Well, yes, there's one thing you could do, but keep in mind, as a beginner, this is gonna be a little bit harder to do. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this, right? You're lowering your chances of success by a little bit if you don't know exactly what you're doing. But you could still make this work as a beginner. In fact, I actually had, funny enough, I had somebody else find a channel that met the criteria but didn't meet the ideal targets here, and then they ended up doing this, and they actually didn't get their first video out. They're actively about to, but I thought it was a fantastic idea, so I'm very confident it's going to work. Which, this is the sub-niche swap strategy, right? And what does that mean? Well, if you find a niche that meets the age, how old the channel is, and the video count criteria, but has too many competitors, identify the broad and the sub-niche. You should already be able to do this, right? If you went on YouTube, or not already be able to do this, but we talked about this. So ideally, you learn how to identify the broad niche and the sub-niche, which isn't the hardest thing to do. Now, all you need to do is stay in the same broad niche, but switch the sub-niche. Now, ideally, the sub-niche should be something close to the original sub-niche, because if you just go from NBA highlights over to NBA documentaries, that's like too big of a jump, because you're technically doing what I'm saying, but that's too big of a jump. So I'm going to show you exactly what I mean with a few examples. I'll use my favorite example because it's a niche where so many people did this, and it was beautiful to watch it unfold as it happened. Now, this is a little bit of an old example, but it'll explain exactly what I mean here. So if I go on YouTube and I find this channel Dinzo and we go to his videos, if I sort by oldest, you can see that this channel, it's actually a year old now. I didn't know it was a whole year, but this is how old this example is. So this is a year old. Now, if we look at his videos, they were doing great, right? 5.1 million views, 2.2 million views, 2.4 million views. And if I go over to this channel Bound, you're going to see something interesting, which if I go by oldest, his channel is 10 months old, which the other channel I just showed you was like exactly a year old, meaning that this guy Bound, we'll call him Bound because that's his channel name, Bound found Dinzo's channel. Dinzo's channel at the time that, this was 10 months ago, but at that time, Bound was like, Dinzo's channel meets all of these criteria. Now, if Bound knew all of that, doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is this was the case. The channel was only 2 months old. Dinzo's channel, I think at the time when Bound started his channel, either had 2 or 3 videos, and there was actually no other competitors in the niche at the time. So there was only 2 or 3 videos in the niche pool. So this was like a great niche find at the time. So you know what Bound did? He just copied his broad niche and his sub niche exactly, because you can do that if you meet the criteria for the channel and the criteria for it to not be oversaturated, which it did. So what did he do? It's literally the exact same thing. So if I go back to Dinzo's channel in a second, you'll see, but Bound just uploads a lot more. As you can see, this ended up working out fantastic for him. Like if we see, he has 27 million views on his channel. So this is easily 6 figures. This is 100% over $100,000 in the last 10 months, which is great considering he's uploading one every few days. And I promise you this channel is fully automated, and the guy that owns this channel is doing just about nothing. But what is this niche? As you can see, this goes back to what I was talking about before, that once you pick a niche, you want to stay in that niche. So if I go to his oldest video, why it sucks to be born as an emperor penguin, which is 10 months ago, and I go to latest, it's why it sucks to be born as an insect, why it sucks to be born as a pangolin. So as you can see, he stayed in his exact, channel niche. So he changes the video topic per video, but the overall, niche is the same, which is why, I talked about how the niche gives you your video topic, but it still needs to be a good video topic. It just comes from your niche. Well, the niche here in general is why it sucks to be born as animals. That's the niche. The broad niche and sub niche here, I'll give you, maybe pause the video for a second and just see if you can guess what I'm about to say. Okay, if you paused it, the answer is the broad niche is why it sucks to be born as, which is like the type of video, and that's the broad niche, and the sub niche is animals. So put it together, why it sucks to be born as is the broad niche, animals is the sub niche. Put it together, the channel niche is why it sucks to be born as different animals. And as you can see, that's exactly what's going on. Why it sucks to be born as a ghost shark, why it sucks to be born as a sea pig, why it sucks to be born as a maned wolf. And I'll go back to Dinzo's channel just to show you that this is exactly what he was doing. Why it sucks to be born as a Komodo dragon, why it sucks to be born as an eagle. So it's the exact same broad and sub niche, meaning that both niches are actually same channel niche, which is why it sucks to be born as animals. Now what ended up happening is a few other people copied these guys, and then after, there was 5 or so channels, this niche started getting oversaturated, so new channels just wouldn't get views because there was too many videos in the niche pool, there was too many competitors. So what did people do? Well, I'm about to show you the sub-niche method that I was talking about, and this is really, really cool because there's so many, like this broad niche of why it sucks to be born as, and then the sub-niche changed so many times. Now, I'm sure you can guess what about like the types of stuff I'm about to show you, but there are so many, and I'm going to go through as many as I can remember, and I promise however many I can remember is maybe 1/5 of the amount that there were. So if I search up why it sucks to be born in One Piece, if you don't know, One Piece is just an anime. But this guy's doing the same thing, and as you can see, he just did why it sucks to be born as, and then his sub-niche went from animals to anime. So why it sucks to be born in One Piece, why it sucks to be born in Uchiha, which is a anime character from Naruto, or a type of anime character, I guess. Why it sucks to be a marine in One Piece, why it sucks to be born as Fishman, which is also from One Piece, why it sucks to be a devil fruit user, which is also from One Piece. Well, it doesn't matter, the category is the same thing. I don't think he did the best with the video topics here, which is why the views are very inconsistent, but they're still good, right? 454K views, 86K, 120K, like 33K was considered a bad video for him at the time. And as you can see, this guy did why it sucks to be born as a Saiyan, which is the same type of video. It's the same broad niche of why it sucks to be born as, and the sub niche is anime, and this guy got 1.4 million views on his video. Now, if we do why it sucks to be born as a dinosaur, we got two guys here in this same sub niche, because each sub niche, you know, has its own different criteria for literally everything, right? It's its own channel. But it resets the criteria for if the channel is oversaturated, because now it's in a different sub niche. It's technically a different channel niche, even though it's the same broad niche, but the sub niche is different, so it's a different channel niche. So now the niche pool is reset, and now the amount of channels is reset. So this guy, the Neanderthal, did why it sucks to be born as a T-Rex. I don't know why he did a video 9 months ago and 8 months ago and then just decided not to upload for 7 months. This is a little weird. Probably some in real life situation happened to him is my guess. But look, 2.3 million views and 1 million views. Now, if I go back to the search, once again, we had somebody else copy that. Because in each of these sub niches, people copy each other. So each sub niche ends up having getting oversaturated, and then it goes to the next sub niche, and it's kind of like an endless cycle. And this niche, this broad niche, was used so many times. So why it sucks to be born as an Allosaurus, why it sucks to be born as a Spinosaurus. Now here's another example, why it sucks to be born as a samurai. If I go to Lost Legacy, he's in the same broad niche, but he changed it to these, I don't really know exactly what you'd call these, like historical type of figures. For example, samurai, pirate, Viking, Spartan, cowboy, gladiator, ninja. And he's still uploading your life, like why he just changed the title, but it's the same concept. Concubine, kamikaze pilot. And I could keep going, but I promise you the why it sucks to be born as broad niche had like 20, 30, 40 different sub niches in it. And then in each sub niche, like 4 or 5 channels were created in each one until it ended up getting oversaturated per sub niche. And then more were created. So this is just like my favorite example because it really shows the sub niche method and how powerful it is. And even though in this broad niche, there's probably thousands of videos, each sub niche, when, you know, maybe at this point has a lot of videos, but people are finding these sub niches with the niche pool being really low in number, which is why so many of these people ended up having very successful channels. Now I'm going to show you exactly how you can find a niche using my software TubeGen AI, because yes, you can go on YouTube and look for niches manually. Good luck with that. But I personally just use my niche finder. Now there's a few different niche finders. There's like 2 or 3 online, but what makes a niche finder great isn't the filters, because all of them have a ton of filters. What makes it great is the database, because you know you have to get YouTube's data, and ours, we have the largest database of YouTube channels on here, just on the internet. So you might say I'm biased, but I'm just going by the facts. We got the largest database, so we have the most channels, and then you just filter them. You can find like literally whatever you want. Like this is just random stuff without even filters, and there's already a channel here. This channel has 7 videos. It's a month old, and you know you got 23K, 14K, 26K. The recent videos didn't do super great, but just an example, like this just popped up on the niche finder on our random assortment, like which is just the homepage of it. So I'm just going to quickly go over what you can do with this niche finder. And if you do use TubeGen, if you press this video here, there's a like 10-minute tutorial on how to use it as well. There's a few things you can do. If you want to, you can sort by sleep channels, which is just like really long videos people sleep to, or story channels, which is just story channels, like people telling stories. And these have their own button because they're pretty common niches. But more importantly, you have the sort by and you have the advanced filters. So advanced filters, there's a lot you can do. You can say how old a channel is. So I said 6 months old. So 6 months ago would be March 18th from when I'm recording this. The to date is just going to be set to today. I don't know why you would change this. And you can even check faceless channels only. You can even check monetized channels only, but chances are if you want to find like S tier niches that are only a week old, they're not monetized yet because they have to wait for YouTube to get back to them. So I like to not check this. Then content type long form. I don't really mess with shorts. You can use shorts though. And then ton of languages you can choose from here. And then you can even choose the content quality because our AI can detect how high the quality is. Is it just low quality spam or is it like high quality videos like Mr. Beast? And then once again, the AI is checking if it's a faceless channel. Now there's a ton of stuff you can do. You can do average views, median views. There's a ton of filters. If you want to, you can pause and read this. I'm not going to go over all of them. My favorite is just the median views. Let's set this to like 20,000 for example. And then their video count, I'll just set to max. We'll do like max 20 here. And then their minimum average view video is going to be 8. I'm going to set it to 8 minutes because 8 minutes is when you can have mid-roll ads in your video and like manually place ads. So just any channel you really ever start should be at least 8 minutes long for your videos. And then I'm going to apply the filters. Now you may find channels that are less than 8-minute long videos, like they got 5-minute long videos, but they're just not getting paid a lot. And keep in mind, because there's so many channels in this database, you know, there's going to be a lot of channels here. So you could have different filters like within each other. For example, if I set this to 50,000 views minimum, some channels that are in that range might not pop up on the filter 20,000 because there's just so many channels in this database that even though 50,000 plus is still in the 20,000 plus, a channel might not pop up. So keep in mind, you just got to mess with the filters to find exactly what you're looking for. But this sort by is really cool. I like recency or I like average views. I don't really use any of these other ones, but I'll sort by recency to see like the most recent channels with these filters. And then we can look through them. Here's a channel, for example, Navy Signal. And as you can see, this channel has 14 videos, so one less than 15. Their oldest video is 13 days ago, and they're getting a lot of views. But the one great thing about TubeGen as well is that you can press similar channels right here, and it's going to just look for all the channels on YouTube that are similar. So we can see how many competitors there are. So this meets the criteria of their channel age and how many videos they have uploaded. Like you can see this right here, 2 weeks ago, 14 total videos, and this channel is monetized. But then look what we got here. Oh my gosh, look how many channels there are. Now, not every channel that's gonna pop up here is going to be a direct competitor. Some, you know, it's using AI. So some might not pop, or some channels might pop up that aren't competitors, but pretty much all the competitors on YouTube should pop up here, which just makes the like manually searching for all the competitors just like that. Like I did that in 1 second. I literally clicked a button. But we got Navy Secrets, we got Navy Point, we got Navy Media, Beyond Military, Military No Way, Military Aviation, Military Reality. I don't think this is the same. I think this looks like it's the same. Weapons Party. You know, even show channels that don't do that well. It's probably not going to show channels with like 100 views because there would be way too many. But for example, like the worst channel here is getting, looks like this one, 33,000. But either way, there's for sure more than 5 channels in this niche. It looks like, I mean, it's not like there's a lot more than 5. If we actually count, I think there's like 6 or so. So that alone isn't good. But the bigger problem here is how many videos are here. So total videos, 14. Total videos, 194. Is this channel like banned or something? Yeah, this channel was banned for some reason. So we won't count this guy, but 14 videos here, 19 videos here. This one channel alone has 115 videos. This channel alone has 108 videos. This channel has 28 videos. This channel has 20 videos. So in total, in this niche pool, there is hundreds of videos, a lot more than 50, I'll tell you that much. And there's more than 5 channel competitors. So that means we have a good niche, right? But we don't have, you know, the criteria for is it saturated, which in this case it is. With TubeGen, because we can do the similar channels, you can find out if the channel is saturated instantly, right? Because it tells you right here, you know, the video count, how many channels there are. So you can find out very quickly without having to do any research and you know, just look at their videos here. So in 5 seconds, we were able to tell that this channel is oversaturated. So what do we do here? Well, we have 2 options. Either, you know, this niche isn't good. Well, it's good, but either just don't do this niche and keep looking, or we could take this niche and we can go into a different sub niche, which, like I said, this is a little bit harder to do and get right. But for example, this is typically like with most of these channels, this is like US versus cartel. I know there's a lot of these channels that are like US versus, or the Russia versus Ukraine. But for example, you could do this for a more niche audience. let's say you could do war news in Nepal, because I know like Nepal right now is having a revolution. So that's just an example of how you could switch the sub niche. I'm not telling you to go do that, but that's just an example of how you could. And like I said, I would be wary on doing that because that's going to be a little harder to get right. Because it's true, it's easier to find a channel that meets the niche criteria, but that doesn't meet the oversaturation. Like, is it oversaturated or not criteria? And it's going to be a lot harder to find that because you only have 2 criteria versus 4. So a lot of you will be tempted to go, oh, I found the first 2 criteria, and then I'm just going to switch to sub niche, which it will work if you know what you're doing. Just keep in mind, if you don't really know what you're doing, I probably wouldn't recommend it. But do whatever you want because, you know, it can work if you have an idea what you're doing. Even if it's your first channel, if you kind of watch this whole video, maybe you'll learn enough to where you can confidently do that. But let's go back to the search here. And pretty much I'm just going to go through all of these filters, mess around until I find a niche, and I'll cut back. So going through, I even switched the language here, and I started looking at like German channels. I just look at whatever, because at this point I've created channels that aren't even in English. Now, as a beginner, I would not recommend doing this, but this is just a niche that I found right here that look good. It is 2 months old. It has exactly 15 videos. You know, it's monetized. And if we go and press on similar channels here, similar channels do pop up, but if you actually go through these, none of them are exactly the same as this one. So like I said, channels will come up that are like that the AI detects as to be kind of similar, but nothing is exactly like this channel. So if we look at this channel, it's like this German sleep channel, which they're not getting that many views, right? But the RPM on these videos are insanely high because you have 2.5 hour long videos here. So even if it gets 4,000 views, this video with 4,000 views might make $100 just because it's so long. And we're gonna go over how to understand how like many views videos should have, because I didn't include that in the criteria. A lot of people include that in the criteria, but I didn't for a reason. And once we get further into this course, you'll learn what exactly is important for understanding like how much of channels actually making. Now my goal here is I'm gonna find 3 total niches, and I'm actually gonna go and start 3 channels throughout this course. So I'm gonna find one niche that is, this niche is completely done with AI. So this is gonna be like, I can use TubeGen to write the scripts, voiceovers, and everything. So I'm gonna show you exactly me making the video and how easy it is to make an AI channel like this. So I'll show that. I'm gonna show one animation channel that's used with AI, and then I'm gonna find one niche that is using half AI and half hiring people. So a niche where I'm going to hire an editor, for example, maybe a thumbnail artist too, but then you're actually working with editor, thumbnail artist. So this is kind of like these 3 different types of channels, and watching me, you know, find the niche, do everything live, and make the videos, get the videos out, is going to help probably more than the course itself, because you're gonna watch me do everything live. Now, if you get any of the subscriptions to TubeGen, you're gonna have access to this course, but this course is gonna have a little bit of stuff cut out, well, like half of it cut out probably. So in this YouTube video, what I'm going to do is I will show you, I'll do this channel on this YouTube video, but then the other 2 types of channels, the animation and the one where I work with like an actual team, those 2 are gonna be exclusive on TubeGen. So there's a course section in TubeGen, and you'll be able to access that in there. So I mean, it's my company, I gotta plug it, I'll be honest. I mean, it's a great tool. I use it for almost every channel I run. Now that I got that shameless plug out of the way, we're going to continue. Now, video topic and title strategy. We just covered how to find your niche, the criteria, pretty much everything related to you going from pretty much having nothing to having your niche. Now that you know how to do that, we're gonna learn how to come up with your video topic, because if we have the 5-step order, right, we had finding the niche, then after finding the niche is getting the video topic, then wording that topic, aka creating the title, then you have after that, you know, thumbnail, then AVD. But right now we're gonna go over pretty much the next step after finding the niche, the next 2 steps, which is getting the video topic and then wording that topic, so making your title. So for finding video ideas, aka topics, the first step is you're gonna look at your competitors. And like I said, you should have maximum 5 competitors, the less the better. So ideally you either have 1, 2, or 3 competitors in your niche, and they're already in this niche. They've already tested videos with you. If there's up to 40, 50 videos in your niche pool, obviously you want less, but let's say there's 40 videos in your niche pool. You have 40 videos to look at and compare amongst each other to see which one, you know, is going to perform the best. Because let's say you see the same video performing good on all channels, you know, this is just a good video idea. And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize, but if a YouTube video does good on one channel in the exact same niche, if you do the same video idea, it will also do good. That's just how it works, because the first video might not have reached all of the target audience for that video. So pretty much just first thing you're gonna do is just look at your competitors. So once I go through all this, I'm gonna actually show you me live, finding a video idea. But once you're looking at your competitors, you wanna find their outliers. Now, outliers is highlighted here because this is a very important word here. I'll even highlight it with my mouse. Find their outliers, meaning don't sort their videos by popular, right? Don't sort the videos by popular, sort them by recent. And once I go through all this, I'm gonna go to the actual channel and show you what I mean. But you wanna sort videos by recent, and then you're going to look at their outliers. So their outliers are just their most recent videos because you sorted by recent, and the ones that perform exceptionally well. So let's say their last 10 videos all had exactly 10,000 views each, but their second to the last video had 50,000 views. Well, that means their average video out of their last 10 videos is getting like 10,000 around, but then this second to last video has 50,000 views. Boom, that's the video idea that you should probably copy. The next thing that I wanted to add on there is, let's say they have 20 videos on their channel though, and their first video has 500,000 views. Yes, that might be their best performing video, but if it's not that recent, like it's 2 or 3 months old, it'd actually probably be better for you to copy the outlier video with 50,000 views. So just identify which recent video has the most views. It's pretty simple, and I'll go over that and physically show you how that would look as well. But just like picking your niche, because you got to realize that the niche is the topic for your channel and the video idea is the topic for your video. So they're actually very similar. They got their own criteria, right? And really the one thing that you got to look for as for criteria is, which video is recently doing well. And it's the same thing for the niche, right? Which niche is recently performing well on YouTube. So it's really the same concept here. And just the way the niche has, criteria for finding which niche is good and then finding out if the niche is oversaturated, you have the criteria here, which is find a recent performing video. And once you find, okay, that's a good video topic. Now you have to do the same thing that you would do for the niche, and you also have criteria for the video topic on if the topic itself is oversaturated. So this is pretty simple to do. Once you find a good video idea based on, a recent trending video on one of your competitors' channels, choose videos that only appear once in the niche pool. So what you're gonna do is once you find a video that's performing well on your competitor's channel, you're gonna go to all the competitors' channels and see, did anybody else copy this video? And if the answer is no, only one guy did it and it's recent, it's performing well, meaning only one video with this topic in the niche pool, then just copy his video. Seriously, just copy it. You think, oh, copying is bad. I see people, they'll wanna change up things slightly, like why? It just performed well, why are you trying to change it up? Just copy them. And it's really that simple, literally just copy their video. Now, if it appears once, like I said, copy the title exactly. Don't try and reword the title. Like literally, I have done this, I can't even count. Many, maybe multiple thousands of times, because I've been doing YouTube for 5 years. I've run over 20 monetized channels, right? And in that time period, I've probably done, probably like 1,000 or so times have I made my title by literally pressing Control, like highlighting somebody's video title like this, pressing Control C, or just right clicking and pressing copy, and then right clicking and pressing paste or Control V, right? So pretty much what I'm saying is my title was exactly the same as theirs if their video only appeared once in the niche pool, or their video topic. Now, if the video appears multiple times in the niche pool, meaning you check your competitor's channel, he did a recent video and it did well, and then you check one of your other competitors and they also did that video, or 2 of them also did that video, 2 other competitors. So there's 3 guys that have done this video. You can still copy it only under the pretense that all of their videos did well, meaning all of the videos were outliers for all of the channels. So if on one channel it was an outlier, but on the other 2 it just performed like average, I wouldn't copy it. But if it's an outlier compared to like their videos, their other videos, then definitely do it. Even if, let's say, the first channel that you're looking at, it's a video from 3 days ago, and it's an outlier video, so you're like, great, and you check the other competitors, and their video of that topic was like a month ago, that's fine, because it's still proving that this topic is still working recently, because if just one of the guys had it recently do well, that's fine. So if it's an outlier, meaning it did better than their channel average on all of your competitors' channels, then just go back to this and, copy the title exactly, do the video topic exactly. But if it appears multiple times and it's only an outlier on one of the channels or two, or pretty much just not all of them, it has to be on all of them. If you have 5 competitors and 3 of them did this topic, then make sure all 3 were an outlier for all of their channels. If all 5 of your competitors did it, make sure that video topic was an outlier for all of their channels, because you need to make sure that this topic is still working and it works on every channel. To put it more simply, now that I'm speaking this out loud, just make sure that when you find an outlier video, that it's an outlier video on every single channel you find, which means if it's only an outlier, meaning if only one person, one of your competitors did this video topic, if it's an outlier for them, that's 1 for 1, that's 100%. If 2 of your competitors did it, that's 2 for 2 has to be an outlier for you to copy it exactly, that's still 100%. So if 100% of your competitors that did a video topic had that topic be an outlier video, then copy the video title exactly. If not, and it only, let's say 2 guys did it and it was an outlier for one, and for the other one it was not an outlier, what you want to do is do the same thing that you would do with your niche, like the sub-niche swap strategy. You just do this for the topic, which is the topic swap strategy, whatever you want to call it here. But I'm just saying, it's like the same thing. You want to take the same topic and just adjust it slightly. For example, if we go back to my old example of the niche of why it sucks to be born as blank as a broad niche, and the sub niche was anime, we saw a video that was like why it sucks to be born as an Uchiha. And if you know what that means, then great. But if you don't know, pretty much it's like a certain clan from an anime. So let's say one guy did it and it did good, then copy him. If 2 guys did it and it did good for both of them, copy it. If 2 guys did that video, but it only did good for one of them and the other one just did kind of average, then what I would do is I would change that, instead of why it sucks to be born as an Uchiha, I would change it to just a different clan from that same anime. So in this case, I would do why it sucks to be born as an Uzumaki or something like that, just for example. And that's just another clan from the anime. So it's the same thing, why it sucks to be born as, and then still using the anime of Naruto, but and still using the topic of clans, but we're just changing it from one clan to a different clan. And that is a perfect example. Hopefully you can understand that, because that's exactly what I mean by this right here. And sorry if this is a lot of yap, I just want to make sure I'm explaining this that anybody watching this can understand. And the title strategy, copy your competitors' titles exactly. Yes, 1-to-1. This is in parentheses for a reason. And I know this sounds almost contradictory, right? You're going to say, but you said the title is super important. It is. It's even more important than your thumbnail and your AVD, because the title is what's going to push your video into the algorithm, right? That's how YouTube's going to identify what video topic, what niche you're in, for example. So, but the thing is, if your competitor already used that title and it did good, then copy it. And even if you're doing the same thing where you're switching the topic like I just mentioned, just copy the title exactly. And in this case, instead of Uchiha, I would just delete the word Uchiha and put Uzumaki or whatever other clan I was talking about. But every other wording in the title would be exactly the same. So do whatever you can to make every single letter in your title, the length, everything, the same as the competitor's video that you're copying 1-to-1 or that you're switching the topic for. And try and make it as close as possible with that topic switch. Now, some people might think that this is easy, and to be honest, if you really just follow the strategy, it's not that complicated. However, people will then be like, okay, well, I figured out how to do the first video, maybe how to do the first 2 videos, but then what do I do after that? How do I keep coming up with ideas? And the thing is, if you're thinking like that, you're already doing this wrong. And it's not your fault, because I didn't explain this part yet, but the truth of the matter is that you should not be coming up with multiple video ideas in advance, or at least that far in advance. You should always be going on trends. Trends is how YouTube runs, even if it doesn't feel like a trending topic. If it's just a trending topic on YouTube itself, like that's just what's getting a lot of views at the moment, even if it's not literally like a trend outside of YouTube. That's just how YouTube runs. That's how you get views always. So in order to keep up with trends, you just got to come up with one video idea, meaning don't plan multiple video ideas in advance. You upload your first video, and if your first video does well, then create different variations of that topic. If the video performed exceptionally well, literally just do a part 2. Like if I did why it sucks to be born as an Uchiha, and that was my first video, and it popped off like 500,000 views, my second video, 1000%, is why it sucks to be born as an Uchiha part 2. And then if that does good, I'll do part 3. And I will literally do that 20 parts in a row if it keeps getting views. I mean, that's unlikely. It will probably be like a 3, 4, 5 times maybe. And then once it starts like dying down a little bit, that's when I would switch the topic. And from there, the first thing I would do is then I would just change the topic slightly. So I would change it from Uchiha to a different clan, such as Uzumaki. And then if Uzumaki does good, I will just do that. Then I'll do a part 2. Just keep doing it. If it only does good on the part 1 and then part 2 already kind of doesn't do as good as part 1, then I'll just change the topic to a different clan, and I'll just keep on doing that. And by the time you do that enough times, if you don't know what to do for your next videos, once you kind of didn't like the same topic over and over, then you switch the topic as many times as you could and did that over and over. By the time you've done that, it's probably going to be a month, maybe 2 months into your channel, as to where you can just go back and reset the cycle to the beginning of this and just look at your competitors, copy them, and do that. Because of this strategy, you will have infinite content because your competitors are just doing the work for you. And in this case, you're pretty much having a method where it's like they do the testing for you. You don't do any testing. You're just doing what has the highest chance of blowing up, and they're doing the testing, which is why you're going to get more views than them. And this is just a really broken strategy. And using this just in general with anybody that I've been teaching, in general, if you search this up, the average YouTube channel that gets monetized takes around 6 months on average to get monetized. And on average, I'm probably getting less than 2 months. Like between 1 and 2 months is pretty typical. Most people that are creating channels that are under my supervision, it's pretty unlikely to take over 60 days. I'm saying 2 months would be the longest it would take. So between 1 and 2 months is pretty typical. And just the other week, somebody I was working with got monetized in 6 days, I believe. So, you know, it just really depends, but that was also their second channel, not their first one. Because the thing is, when you do this, like I said, is learning the algorithm. You can learn the algorithm. So because you can learn the algorithm, I promise you, the more channels you run, the better you get. It is just a fact. Like the second channel is going to be easier than the first, and the third is going to be easier. It just gets easier and easier and easier. And at this point, it's like, for me, this is just, it's like second nature at this point, honestly, because I've done this so many times. So now we have this channel. This channel is in German, so it's going to be a little bit harder to overview. Keep in mind, if you access a TubeGen course, I have 2 other niches that are in completely different types of niches, so you have more examples to work with. But just to show you guys here as well, if I sort their videos by popular, we have this 300,000 view video, this 100,000 view video, but I'm not going to do either of these topics. Now, these are in German, so I don't even know what the topic is or what it says, but quite frankly, I don't care at all. I'm just going to sort by latest and look at their latest videos. So if we look at their latest videos, just kind of what's on the screen here even. This video, for example, is a month old and has 30K views, but this one's 2 weeks old and it has 35. So if we look 5K views, 15K views, 24K views, 14K, 24K, 12K, so 35K, this is definitely going to be the outlier here. It's only 2 weeks old. And the last time they had a video get more views than that was actually over a month prior to that, I believe. So this is probably almost 2 months old, this video here. So this is definitely the video that I'm going to copy. Like I said, I don't know what the topic is or anything, but it doesn't matter because if I'm copying their title, I'm copying their topic. And I'm already copying their niche, so the topic has to be the same. So because the title is the same and because the channel niche, which is the broad niche and the sub niche, is exactly the same, I have the channel niche is the same, I have the title is the same. So if both are the same, I just copy this title onto this same channel niche that I'm going to create, then the topic must be the same. Because how could I be in the same exact broad and sub niche and have the same title as him and it's not in the same niche? So in this case, I don't even really need to know what this says in English, and truthfully, I don't care. I'm not even going to translate it. I don't care. And sorry to break it to you, this just proves a passion. I'm not going to, if I'm really big on like football or something, I'm not making a football channel and looking for a football niche because of that. This is how I run this, and I mean, if you're not a fan of doing things like this, that's up to you, but I view this strictly business. I mean, this is just a business. I'm providing entertainment for people in exchange for income, so I'm not doing this out of passion to do what I love to do. Otherwise, I promise you, every channel I would be running would not be the channel that I am running, because honestly, I'll be honest, none of the channels I run really interest me besides like 1 or 2. But yeah, that's how I came up with the video title. Sorry. You see how simple that was? I literally just went to his channel, and this is the only guy in the niche. So in other cases, if there were other creators, you would just check if anybody else did this video topic, which would be a little bit easier. This was in English because not everybody's going to title it exactly the same. So thankfully in this case, I only have 1 channel to look at. But if there were multiple, you just look at multiple and see if they had the same video topic uploaded. Now we went over the niche finding, we went over the topic finding, the wording of the title. So the next thing in the chain is thumbnails. So let's go over that. So thumbnail mastery, and the reason I write mastery is because you got to master this. And the thumbnail, I'll be honest, out of everything, this is for sure the most complicated thing to get right. And keep in mind, yes, I say this is the 4th most important thing because it's the second to last thing that YouTube takes in mind when pushing out views to your video. But keep in mind, everything of the 5 has to be good. So it's not really the 4th most important That's just how I word it. This is just the fourth in order as to what YouTube uses to push out your video. And you need to meet all 5 stages in order to get pushed out. So you need to know how to do this just like everything else. And this is probably the most important thing that you should watch. And that's because this is definitely the most complicated. And this is where I see a lot of people just not understanding what to do ever. The most important rule, you should be able to guess your thumbnail from the title and vice versa. They must work together. A lot of people seem to think they have their title and then their thumbnail is just their title, meaning they just have a thumbnail and then they put the title on as text on their screen. And a lot of people don't realize that when somebody's clicking on your video, a good portion of that click-through rate, meaning the way it works, right, is that you get impressions. That's every time you get a video on your recommended, you're giving that person an impression. Yeah, it's against your will. An impression is against your will. If YouTube recommends you a video, you give them an impression. So if people click on the video now, then you're giving them a click. And let's say 100 people get a video on their recommended page and 10 people that see that on the recommended page click on it, then their click-through rate is 10%. So pretty simple way to think about that. And the way it works, a lot of people don't realize how much the title influences if somebody presses on a video. A lot of people don't realize that. They say it's just the thumbnail. But part of like your thumbnail, because we're now in the section where we're talking about getting a click on your video, is part of the title. Now, we already created our titles, but what we need to do is make a thumbnail based on that title that works very well. So really, this says you need to be able to guess the thumbnail from the title and vice versa, but it just vice versa is just the technical. You should be able to guess both. But now that you have your title, you should be able to guess what the thumbnail should look like based on the title. Now, in most cases, you can probably copy your competitor, but in a lot of cases, your competitors might not have the best thumbnail. So the thumbnail is definitely something we can change up and make better. I do this a lot. I don't really copy thumbnails that often. It depends on the channel. Like if my competitors have great thumbnails and they're already doing everything I'm about to show you here perfectly, then I'm just gonna copy them and just make it, a little bit different so I'm not literally stealing their thumbnail. I'm gonna recreate it is what I mean. But the reason I say vice versa is because for you should be able to guess what the thumbnail should look like based on the title. Of course, once you master all of these rules, but the reason it says vice versa, and this is important, is because the viewer must be able to guess what the title is by looking at the thumbnail. So the first thing that a viewer sees is your thumbnail. And this is kind of the order, right? They have a bunch of videos on their recommended, and then we talked about how the recommended page is pretty much one big thumbnail. Let's say my thumbnail's at the bottom right? We got this big recommended page, and my thumbnail's at the bottom right here. Let's actually just like open up Paint to make this a little bit more clear. So you got, here's the YouTube logo, and then we got, video 1, video 2, video 3. I know I'm a great artist. You don't got to comment on it, guys. I already know. But here are 6 videos. This is I can make this a little better. But these are all thumbnails, right? Maybe one is Mr. Beast's video or something. So we got the title. We got the title for all of these. So this is pretty much what the viewer is going to see. Now, if they're on their suggested videos, it'd be on the sidebar next to a video. But if it's browse features, it's going to look like this. But just think of it the same way because it works the same way. But this is what they're going to see. They're going to see the thumbnail first, and then let's say this is all on YouTube. So this is what I'm saying. This whole section here that I'm crossing out, just think of it as one big thumbnail, and your section of this big thumbnail needs to stand out the most. So let's say this is my thumbnail here. I'm going to use, bright colors and white and whatnot. We'll talk about this in a second to catch the attention. So if I were to just like zoom out here, the first one that's going to catch your attention is going to be this one because there's some colors in it. So this is one big thumbnail, and then the viewer's eye points to right here. So they see the thumbnail. The thumbnail is literally just to catch their eye to make them read the title. That's all you're doing here. So to make this simple, you're catching their eye, and we're going to go over how you do that first, but I'm just going over so you understand how somebody clicking on a video works and the psychology behind it. They're going to see this as one big thumbnail, then your section of the thumbnail, which is your video thumbnail, needs to catch their eye. Because you got to keep in mind, you're competing against every other section here. The human eye, the viewer's eye, can go anywhere. So you're not just competing against your competitors, you're competing against literally every video on YouTube because you don't know what's going to be on somebody's recommended page, which is why you need to master your thumbnail. So you need to catch their eye, and chances are maybe 2 thumbnails or 3 thumbnails catch their eye. But then that's when it goes based on which video they click based on the title, right? You don't go on YouTube, you know, when you go on YouTube, do you really go and just the first thumbnail you see you press on? Like, I really doubt it. You probably see a few. So you see it, and then that makes them read the title. Now, you're going to have a significantly higher click-through rate if this right here, your thumbnail, if they can guess what the title is before they read it. So somebody that's very, very good at thumbnails, and I'm sure you could have guessed, is Mr. Beast, because he's going to apply everything I am about to tell you. And you're going to, like, I want you to go to Mr. Beast's channel after, you know, this section of the course or after you complete the course and kind of just look through his thumbnails, and you'll see what I mean. You'll see it differently. Like, if you don't know much about thumbnails or you don't know everything, then, you know, you might just see these and be like, okay, cool. But, you know, if you go back after you learn thumbnails, you're going to see his thumbnails very differently. So I'll just give you an example. This video right here, survive 100 days in prison, win $500,000. Now, let's just hypothetically pretend that this title wasn't here, right? If this title wasn't here and you just had the thumbnail of Mr. Beast against the wall where it says day 94 with this cop tasing him, when you look at that, your brain is going to, in the back of your head, you're not even gonna think about it, but you're just gonna look at it and you're like, okay, Mr. Beast is spending 100 days in jail, right? So survive 100 days in jail. That's like, if I had no title here, I guarantee you, I would guess it's survive 100 days in prison. And then I would assume that there's some sort of prize after, because that's just what Mr. Beast does. It's like, as you see, he always does prizes. But in general, that's not the main premise of his title. The main premise is just survive 100 days in prison, or surviving 100 days in prison. That's probably what I would guess if there was no prize, that it's surviving 100 days in prison. So he did a great job here making a thumbnail where I can guess the title before I even look at it. So if this were to on my homepage and it caught my eye, I would look at this, and then my brain in the back of my head would already be like, okay, surviving 100 days in prison. And then you read the title and it's like, okay, this is exactly what I thought it was. And that just gives you the instinct to press on the video. That is really just how it works. If you don't believe me, then, you know, I don't care. Just to put it simply, that's just how it works. If you can make it so that your thumbnail, so keep in mind, when he made his video title, I'm sure the first thing that happened was in his head, he visualized what that thumbnail would look like, right? And now it works the same way for the viewer. So for the creator, they already have their title first, right? He doesn't create the thumbnail and then create the video topic. That just doesn't make sense. So he has his video topic, and based on his topic and title, he's gonna imagine as the creator what the thumbnail will look like, based on his like learning thumbnails, right? You need to learn how thumbnails work first, and once you have those mastered, then you'll naturally be able to do that, where you think about your title and then boom, you just in your mind, you know what your thumbnail should look like. And then for the viewer, it's the opposite. Once they see your thumbnail, they should be able to guess what the title is. And you need to make sure that both of these are true. So you need to master thumbnails enough where you can just know what your thumbnail should look like from the get-go, and then make it so that your thumbnail is in fact so good that the viewer can guess the title. Now, just to keep it consistent, I'll probably go back to Mr. Beast's channel a few times, because he has some great examples of pretty much everything I want to talk about. Now, I do keep in mind, of course, his isn't a faceless channel, but everything really does apply the same. I promise you, I can make an IRL thumbnail, a faceless thumbnail, whatever it is, and using the principles I know, it'll work for all of them. Now, the first key thumbnail rule is going to be text. Now, text in your thumbnail is bad. Like I said, you shouldn't be rephrasing your title in the thumbnail. That's what the title's for. You don't need the title in the thumbnail and in the title. That just doesn't make sense. Now, if having text in your title is gonna help you guess what the title is, then that's good. Now, most thumbnails don't need text in it, but going back to Mr. Beast, for example, you have right here, day 94, and this, because of this, I can guess that his title is going to be talking about surviving 100 days. Like, because of the text here, it allows you to guess that he's saying surviving 100 days. Now, if this text weren't here and it was just a guy tasing him against a wall, maybe I would think it's something about who can survive the longest getting tased or something. I'm not really sure, to be honest, because that's what I'm saying. If that text wasn't there, it wouldn't be super clear. So just because of that text actually helps so much to make me guess what the title is going to be. Here's another example right here. He has before and after. Now, does he have before or after inside of his title? And based on this thumbnail, I immediately would be able to see before and after. The before is gross water, after is clean water. You know, he's spitting it out, he's drinking it. So this is before, this is after. What could the title be? I didn't even read it yet, but I absolutely guarantee you it's going to be something about clean water. So 2 million people get clean water for the first time. There you go, makes sense. And then, for example, you have this one right here where he doesn't need text. What text would he need here? The title is World's Fastest Car versus Cheetah. Now, you have Mr. Beast, and clearly it's like a jet engine car, and you have a cheetah, and the cheetah looks like he's ready to race. This one, I probably would guess exactly the same thing as what the title is. I don't know if I would have guessed World's Fastest Car, but the premise is the same. Fast car versus cheetah. And why would he need text here? You know, having day something wouldn't make sense. Having before and after wouldn't make sense. So because there's nothing that's going to help you guess what the title is, and you can guess it without text. So if you can make a thumbnail where you can guess what the title is without text, do that. But in a case where you're doing like survive 100 days or something that's like before and after, by putting before and after, that helps you understand. And by putting day 94, that helps you understand. And in this video, for example, he doesn't need text to help you understand what the title is, so he doesn't put text. And really, if you just look at any of his thumbnails here, the thumbnail isn't rephrasing the title. The thumbnail and the title work together. It's like if this thumbnail right here doesn't make you click on the video, maybe the title would, and they work together. They're two separate things that work together to make somebody click on the video. You need to understand that. So although text is bad, like I said, you can use it if it's going to help people guess what the title is without rephrasing the title. For example, by using before and after, but his title did not have that in it. Now, if you do have text, you want maximum 1 to 3 words or none at all. We go back to Mr. Beast's page and let's try and find a title that has more than 3 words of text. So day 29, because it's like with a number, I'm just going to say this is 1 word. Day 94, this is 1 word. Before, after, this is 2 words. You got 2 words here, 2 words here, 1 word here, 1 word here, 1 word here. And I'm just going to keep scrolling and scrolling. And I have not like scrolled and scrolled like this directly through Mr. Beast's channel. It's not like I used his channel to make everything I know about YouTube, but I know that he knows what he's doing to the point where I would be very surprised if it's the case. No, I thought I saw this and I almost thought, but that's only 2 words. And right here we got eat here, get $10,000, and we have free food. The free food's part of the sign though. So he has 3 words. So, oh, this actually still isn't more than 3 words, because this is part of the signage of the building. If you want to count this, sure, but then that took a while to scroll, and even then, I still think that wouldn't actually count, but you get what I mean. Now you want limited subjects. Now subjects are just the main point of your thumbnail. So the subjects can be, mainly it's just gonna be like characters, people or characters or something like that. And you want 1 or 2 subjects. You don't want more than 2, but you can have a group count as 1 subject. So what do I mean by that? Now, if we scroll through any of his videos, this has 2 subjects, right? 2 people here, 2 people here, 2 people here, 1 person here, 2 people here, 2 people here. And those aren't even as good thumbnails. Those are pretty old. Look at his newer thumbnails, which are clearly a lot nicer. You got 2 subjects here, 2 subjects here, 1 subject here, 2 subjects here, 1 subject here, 2 subjects here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 1 here, 1 here. And now you might see this, oh, but there's 100 subjects here. And no, you actually only have 2 subjects here. Because if you look, groups can count as 1 subject if uniform, meaning if they're all dressed the same, they look the same, then it can count as 1 subject. Because how else can you represent a group? Now here's a channel, for example, that one of my students is running. And here's another example. What if a modern destroyer fought at Midway? This video has 800,000 views, and as you can see, there are 2 subjects. But you might say, oh, there's a bunch of these subjects, and I actually helped him create this thumbnail, and really this is not the case. All of these planes are exactly the same. This would be really bad if he did like 20 different types of planes, but this is done on purpose, that they're all the same plane. That's not to be lazy, that's done on purpose. So the planes themselves are 1 subject to show a group. By putting a bunch of these, it's showing a group. Same thing here with these ships, it's showing a group of ships. Same thing here, you got a group of these little, I don't even know what you would call them, but they all are exactly the same. Same here with these planes, same here with these soldiers, same here with these boats. So you get what I mean. And if we scroll on Mr. Beast, I'm sure we can find more that have a group to show you what I'm saying. So yes, this is a group. Once again, look here, we have 2 subjects, which is him in the group. This one I would actually almost consider 3 subjects, so he broke this rule a little bit here. But in general, look at these people. They're wearing the exact same pants, shirt, feet, and the only difference is their faces to show that this is a group of people, because this wouldn't make sense with humans to have the same face on all of them, so their clothes are the same. So you can see that this is just 1 subject, and then on the right here you have like less of them, showing that they're slowly fading away. So here he actually has 3 subjects. Here he has 2 subjects, him and the mummy. But here, once again, 2 subjects because this group of people, they're all wearing the clothes. So I'm just going to highlight, subjects where they are groups to show you what I mean. Right here, a group subject in the background. Here we got another 3 subjects. 1, 2, 3, but either way, he's using the group thing I'm talking about. In general, like I say, I always say use 1 or 2 subjects. Here we got the group as well. Here's a group of houses. Here's a group as well. And I'm gonna be honest, I think the reason that Mr. Beast sometimes has 3 subjects is just because he has to put his face in every thumbnail. So for example, there's 2 main subjects here, and then he just puts his face so that you know it's a Mr. Beast video. So in general, I feel like that's why he's breaking the rule, but for anybody watching this, just in general, always have 1 or 2 subjects, and a subject can be a group. Now take up space. Make sure nothing is cut off. All subjects should be as large as possible, because remember, most people are viewing on their phone, right? I got my phone right here. A phone is really tiny. When I go on YouTube, look how tiny these thumbnails are from what you're looking at right now. And then it's even tinier if I'm on the suggested of a current video that I'm watching. And some people have even smaller devices than that. Some people have bad vision and a small device. So you gotta keep in mind, make everything as big as possible. So your 2 subjects should take up space on the screen. There shouldn't be big areas of the screen that aren't taken up. And then at the same time, nothing should be cut off. So going back to Mr. Beast, for example, he's taking up as much space as possible. He has this guy right here, his face is huge, Mr. Beast's face is huge, and he's not like cutting off this guy's head at his forehead or something like that. And if you just look at any of his thumbnails, you'll see what I mean by taking space. Like try and find empty space. Let's say this cheetah thumbnail, right? The cheetah takes up the entire left half of the screen, and the right half of the screen is Mr. Beast and in this car, right? Just he's taking up so much space. There's no empty space in any of these thumbnails. Literally just like, I'm gonna scroll through, try finding empty space. And in none of these does he have like their heads cut off or anything. Obviously he cuts it off at the shoulder level. That's pretty standard. But just in general, he has no free space in really any of these thumbnails. This one, he has a little bit of free space, but this makes sense honestly for this video. But in general, he takes up as much space as possible, as he should. Like for example, this thumbnail is really great. I really like this thumbnail a lot actually. This $1 versus $100 million car. And he's taking up space perfectly. You know, it's cut off right at the top of, like a little bit of space right above his head. It's cut off right under his shoulders. And then he has, you know, these taking up as much space as possible. So that's really important as well. And the thing is, if we make this really tiny, like we zoom out, the thing is, like, even from out here, you can see because this is what it's like on mobile. You can see exactly what just about all of his thumbnails are. And I guarantee you that he does this. Like Mr. Beast is doing what I'm showing you right now, making them really small, making sure he can see everything, or people on his team, whichever. Now, although these 3 are very important, this is going to be extremely important. And it's hard to be like, oh, one of these is more important than the other, because they're all just so important. You really got to understand all of these. And this is the color strategy, which is just use color wheel opposites. So if you have 1 subject, you need 2 colors in your thumbnail, right? Because you have the subject plus the other colors, the background. If you have 2 subjects, you should have 3 colors, because you have the 2 subjects colors and then the background. And then the thing is, right here it says that a subject can be text. In general, it can be if the text is like, it just depends on the type of thumbnail. In most situations, subjects are going to be objects or people, like how I just showed with the car and him as the person. So text isn't typically a subject. And as a beginner, if you don't understand how that would work, just ignore that because it doesn't really matter. But in general, text can be black, or it can be white, or it can be like white with a black outline. That's pretty standard. But then for your colors, like I said, 1 subject means 2 colors, 2 subjects means 3 colors. So I'm going to show you exactly how that would work. So I really like this color wheel. Whenever I'm making a thumbnail, I always just have this open on my second monitor. Even though I know this by heart now, I still just have it open because I like the arrows. This just makes everything very easy to understand. So if we open this up here, I'm going to show you exactly how Mr. Beast uses this color wheel. So let's take this thumbnail, for example, right here. Click this video to feed 1 person. So I can make this thumbnail big here, and we can see the colors he's using is blue, yellow, and red, and then his own shirt is white. Now, why is he doing this? We can use the color wheel to find out. What do you notice about these bagels or whatever? They're very saturated. They're a yellowish color. They're kind of like right in between yellow and orange, but we're gonna say it's yellow because, I mean, they look pretty yellow. And he has, in total in his thumbnail, he has 3 colors, because white isn't gonna count as a color. Obviously, any skin colors aren't gonna count as a color because they're humans. So we got the bowl here, we got the bread here, and we got the shirts. So there's 3 colors: blue, yellow, and red. Notice something about the color wheel. Blue, yellow, and red almost form this triangle here. So because there's 3 colors, it's here, here, and here, which are all primary, right? If for some reason this bowl was green, then the kids would probably have purple shirts, and then this bread would be orange. Now, that probably doesn't make sense because super dark orange bread would look a little bit weird, but just to give the example of what I'm trying to say here. Here's another thumbnail here where he has blue and orange. In this, he has 2 main colors here, which is orange and blue. Notice how orange and blue are exact opposites because he has 2 colors here instead of 3. So that's why he put himself with an orange vest. Now, if we're in a world where water was green for some reason, obviously it's not, but let's say in this world water was green, then he would be wearing a red vest here. Now you can take really any big channel. Here's like the infographic show, for example, and if we load his thumbnail, you can see on the left side here, he has the blue background. On the right side here, he has the orange background because blue and orange are contrasting. Now, just in general, it's pretty simple, right? If you have one subject, have the one subject choose their color, what would make most sense for that, and then make the background the opposite color on the color wheel. If you have two subjects, then do the triangle, right? You want the two subjects, choose your main subject, what color they'd be. Then you have two options for the second subject, choose that, and then the third color would have to be the other, part of the triangle, right? So if your main subject is wearing a green shirt, your background should be red. Realistically, it's probably like you have a red shirt and a green background. If you have two people, right, and one's wearing a blue shirt, one's wearing a red shirt, then you're gonna have a yellow background. So your colors are kind of forced based on how many subjects you have, right? If I have one subject and I don't know what the color to be, but let's say my subject is a blue car, right? If my subject is a blue car, then, and it has to be a blue car, I don't have another choice, then my background has to be orange. Now, if we go back to the Why It Sucks to Be Born as niche, you're gonna see a lot of these thumbnails where you have a white background. And it's not just this niche, but there are many of niches where when you have like these kind of cartoon style thumbnails, or there's just a lot of niches where you'll have a white background. You'll know based on if your competitors are doing this. But if your competitors are doing this is where you have the exception where you don't have a background, meaning if you have one subject, choose one color. And then you don't need a contrasting color in that case. If I had a subject, let's say they're wearing pants and a shirt, and I only had one subject because the background was white in the niche that I'm going for, I'd probably make his shirt color and his pants color, this is just a specific scenario, I'd make them opposite colors, right? So if he was wearing a red shirt, then I'd give him green pants. Now, if you have a white background here and you have two subjects, then just make the two subjects opposite of another. One subject should be blue and one subject should be orange, or green and red, or purple and yellow. You get the point. So in general, this is how it works, right? You got one subject, you got two colors, and based on your one subject, your second color has to be the opposite color. Two subjects, then it would be that triangle. But if you're in the case where your niche, you have just a white background, then one subject would be one color, two subjects would be two colors, and they're opposite of each other. Now, just a general tip, your thumbnails must be at minimum the same quality as your competitors. So a lot of people will show me thumbnails and be like, is this a good thumbnail? And I just look at it and I'm honestly just in disbelief that they're even showing it to me. So if you're a beginner, you really don't know, take your competitors' thumbnails and take your thumbnails and show them to just random people. And it's even better to ask people that don't know much about YouTube, for example. So just show both and don't say which one's yours and have them pick which one's better. And if yours isn't getting picked at least 50% of the time, then you are doing something wrong. And if you join the TubeGen Discord server, there's an advice channel in there. So if you want to send a message, I can reply to it. So if anybody wants to just talk to me, but I'm not in there 24/7, obviously. So just in case if you really don't understand, I can always take a look if necessary. But either way, make sure your thumbnails at minimum are the same quality as your competitors, because you got to keep in mind they have the time advantage on you and the fact that their videos are already out and yours aren't. Now, the walk away method, just in general, walk away from your monitor until the thumbnail is tiny. Can you still clearly understand everything and guess the title from your thumbnail? If not, that is not good. Or another way is you could just zoom out really far like I showed before. But in general, once you make your thumbnail as well, you should also ask random people, send your thumbnail to random people and be like, can you guess what the title of this video will be based on this thumbnail? And if most people are getting it right, then you know you did a good job. Now we have our niche selected here. So I'm gonna show you guys me making the thumbnail for this niche, but this is completely AI. This niche is completely made with AI, including their thumbnails. So I'm going to just copy my competitors' thumbnails here. And with these AI thumbnails, the thumbnails don't follow exactly the same rules that I just went through because they are sleep story channels. For whatever reason, not every single niche is going to need super colorful thumbnails like this. You're going over something gruesome, something from the past. This type of thumbnail makes more sense. But in general, those rules apply 99% of the time. So in the TubeGen course, I'm going to show the other two channels where I will definitely be going over everything I just showed you. But in order to make a thumbnail, AI thumbnail, you can actually do this on TubeGen, because if you go to AI tools here, you can press on the thumbnail generator, which is how I was loading these thumbnails in. We can paste this, press this load button, Now we have the thumbnail. You can press analyze and it's going to pretty much use AI to create a description for you. So now we got the image description here, and then we can generate the thumbnail. So I definitely don't want to generate exactly the same exact thing. So we're going to look and see what we can do to change this up. I literally just changed the skull from right to left, and now we're going to generate this thumbnail. And here's the thumbnail that it spat out. As you can see, this is like in the exact same style here. However, this isn't taking up enough space. So I'm going to go back and fix up the prompt to make sure that this is taking up enough space. So I'm adding in show the doctor from the shoulders up, have him take up most of the right side of the thumbnail. And then while the skull on the left, then I'm just adding up shoulders up as well, have him take up most of the left side of the thumbnail. So there we go. This did exactly what I wanted to, and it fixed up the thumbnail. So this looks great now. We zoom out, we can see what's going on. This did a great job. And I literally spent less than $1 to generate both of those. So I spent like 50 or something cents like that to generate my thumbnail, and I didn't have to wait for a turnaround time from a thumbnail artist or anything. So this is why this is super great, especially for copying competitors' thumbnails. And this works in literally any niche, assuming it's not using like real people's faces. And even then, we're gonna add that at some point. So now, just because we have the thumbnail done does not mean we are done, because we still have the AVD, which is the average viewer duration. And if your AVD is bad, guess what? You might start getting impressions because you have a good title, and you might get some more impressions because you have a good thumbnail, but you might be getting 1,000 views max if your AVD is just not good. So I'm gonna go over how to make your AVD good. I'm gonna go over the target AVD that I've seen perform well. So just in general, if you have an 8-minute video, an 8-minute, by the way, is the minimum I would recommend making your long form videos. And the reason for this is because once you hit that 8-minute mark, you're going to get mid-roll ads in your video. So if your video is literally 7 minutes and 59 seconds versus you have the exact same video, just 1 second longer, and it's 8 minutes, here is the difference. On the 7-minute 59-second video, YouTube is gonna place an ad, I believe, just at the start of your video, maybe at the end of your video, but there's gonna be like one ad, I believe it is the way it works, 1 or 2 ads in the video. To be honest, I'm not even completely sure exactly how many ads are placed because I never do any content underneath 8 minutes. I just know that you do not have the customizability to put ads wherever you want. And this is a big problem because your RPM is going to be significantly different the second you can manually place ads. And if you want to, you can place 100 ads in your video. Just keep in mind when you place ads, it has, I believe, between a 20 and 40% chance of being played. So if you have, let's say, 100 ads in your video, then between 20 and 40 ads will play. Obviously, you shouldn't have 100 ads in your video, but that's just an example. So with an 8-minute video, a good AVD is 45%. Like, you should be aiming for 45% minimum on your videos. Now, keep in mind, just in general, when you first start your channel, this is your first video, second, third video, it is pretty normal to see like 5% less than this-ish because it can go up over time. Now, it's a brand new channel. YouTube's trying to find your audience. So if this is a little bit lower on your first few videos, that is pretty normal, actually. But this is the target once like you're already getting impressions. Like if you got impressions on your first 2 videos, it's like your third video or so after getting impressions should already start to meet these goals. So for 8 minutes, it's like you should be getting 45% minimum on your videos, and that's the goal. If you're getting under 45%, obviously if it's like 44, it's fine. But this is the goal, it's 45%. It's like when I press that upload button, I want to see the minimum as 45%. Otherwise, I didn't do a great job. And then 50% would be great. It's like if I have an 8-minute video and I got like a 51% AVD, and that means, especially if I had a good title and a good thumbnail to give me those starting impressions, if I have a 51% AVD, I know the video is gonna blow up because 51% AVD is insane. Like based on your AVD, that's kind of how much your video is gonna blow up. So it's like that's the last stage, and that's the stage that can really expand your video to blow up. So it's like you have a 45% AVD, that's good. This just means it's getting pushed in the algorithm, but it's like if it's 50% and then you pass the first few stages to get into the algorithm here that we just went over, then 50% you're getting shot into the algorithm. Like this is putting you into the algorithm. Your video is gonna continue getting recommended. It's not gonna like halt it, right? If you had a bad AVD, your impressions will halt. 45% they'll continue, 50% they are going to skyrocket, right? So with a 15-minute video, you get a little bit more leniency. So I'd say around 40% is good, that's the goal, and 45% is great. You have a 30-minute video, 35% is good, 40% is great. You have an hour-long video, 30% is good, 35% on an hour-long video is pretty great. If you have a 2-hour-long video, 25% is good, 30% is great. Now, if you want to figure out the in-between, like you got a 12-minute video, just go in between this. Like, this is very simple. You got a 20-minute video, 22-minute video, go in between these two. So I have these here. If you want to write this down or you want to screenshot this, this is a pretty good reference. Of course, this is going to depend on your niche as well, right? If your niche just has a really, really high AVD, like your competitors do, then of course these numbers are going to change, but this is pretty standard. So if we're not talking like all these exception rules, this is like 80-90% of channels. So this is what I would say is a good reference point. Now you might be asking, why are longer videos winning here? Like, why on a 120-minute video can I get 30% is great, but then, you know, 45% is only good on an 8-minute video, right? How this is a 15% difference. And it's because right here I wrote, YouTube is more lenient with lower AVD. Now, here's the reason why. On longer videos, because viewers still watch more total minutes, aka more ads, right? And if we go to the very start of this whole thing, you know, the core truth is that YouTube makes money primarily through ad revenue, right? So if you're looking at it from a business perspective, their goal is simple: have as many ads watched as possible to maximize revenue. So if you have a 2-hour long video with a great AVD, aka 30%, that means 36 minutes were watched, which is going to be 5 to 15 ads viewed. Now, I typically do an ad every minute 30 or 2 minutes, depending on the niche when I manually place it, like 0 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, for example. So for me, 36 minutes would be 18 ads, which would be somewhere between 6 and 8 ads watched. I just wrote 5 to 15 here as a generalized amount. But if YouTube is seeing, okay, the average viewer, not because, right, if somebody watched the whole video, like they're watching a lot of ads, but if the average viewer is watching 6, 7, or 8 ads without even clicking on a different video, because you got to realize once somebody's done with the video, let's say it's a shorter video and they watch 2 ads and they finish the whole video, there's only 2 ads in the whole video, they watch that full video, and then between them finishing that video and going to the next video, there's a very high chance that the user is going to click off because that they're done. They feel like they're done with the content. Maybe they want to click off. So then YouTube's just losing that viewer. So by keeping them on a video that's longer, they're essentially, rather than having them go to one video, then go to another, then have them risk losing that viewer between going from the first video to the second video, right? If you have, you know, 6 10-minute videos or 20 10-minute videos, there's a much higher chance somebody's going to watch a 2-hour long video versus 20 10-minute videos in a row, right? So because of that, that is why YouTube really pushes long content. They're more lenient on the AVD, and just in general, YouTube likes pushing long content. Like, the longer your content is, the better. And something that I didn't write here, but this is a big mistake I see, because I'll tell people this and they will take this so the wrong way, and they make their scripts longer. They add more filler words. It's like almost like when you're in school and it's like, okay, you got to have a 3,000 word essay and then your essay's 2,500 words, so you just go in and add stuff to your script. No, that is not what you should be doing. You should be copying your competitors, and if you upload longer content than them, you're going to do better. But that's if you add more content, not take the content that you would have had and then just add filler, but adding more content. So let's say you have a 15-minute video. You don't just go in and make that 15-minute video longer by just adding more to the script. You add another section to the script, so you add more content. So pretty much what you should be doing is, just in general, if you want a good AVD, you need good pacing. So you need to be able to create videos where it's not filler content, like everything is like snap, 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 getting to the point. It's whatever your topic's about. You know, your video is not filler words, it's not filler content that doesn't relate to the video. You just add as much content as you can, and your goal should be to squish that as much as possible, because the more rapid paced your content is, the better the AVD is. So if you can take a topic, let's say we're doing the history of America, we want to take the entirety of the history of America and make that as small as possible. And if we can make it as small as possible, like, it literally cannot be shorter, otherwise we would just be losing content. That's kind of the goal. So if your competitors do 15-minute long videos and you can get enough information on the history of America where when you squeeze it down all the way it's 20 minutes, that's the goal. You don't do a 15-minute video and then try to extend it. That's a really bad idea, because then you'll get low AVD and you think you're cheating the system because YouTube likes longer videos, and then because your AVD is bad, it doesn't matter that your video was longer. And just in general, title and thumbnail do impact your AVD, because when your video delivers exactly what the title and thumbnail promises, viewers stick around longer, which that's not a surprise, right? You get better retention. If the thumbnail, the title work together, right? It's not like a totally different thumbnail to the title, and then that's what the video is about. If everything, all three of those actually work together, and aren't like separate entities that are totally unrelated, then guess what? If somebody is seeing the title they press on the video, and the video is exactly what the title said, they're going to stick around. And if somebody only looked at the thumbnail and pressed on the video and it's exactly what they thought it'd be, they're going to stick around. But guess what? If they click on it and it's not what they expected, they're going to click off, which even if a lot of people end up watching your video, when you have kind of thumbnails or titles that are misleading to what your video is actually about, what ends up happening is, yes, maybe even if your content's good, a lot of people will watch the full video, but enough people will just click off in the first 10 seconds that your AVD is going to lower a lot, because it's the average, right? It's the average viewer duration, not just the one time who viewed the most video duration. Is the average. So if you got 100,000 views, that's accounting for people who watch half the video, the full video, just the first 10 seconds. So you got to keep that in mind, which is why your hook is really important, because if your hook is so bad that people are clicking off in the first 10 seconds of your video, that's just impacting your AVD so negatively. Now, how do you structure your content? Well, this is pretty similar to the thumbnails. Literally just copy everything your competitors are doing. And in a niche like the AI niche that I just showed you guys, I'm going to start, and I'm going to show you guys me creating that video. But what I'm about to say doesn't apply to the niche I just showed you guys. But in general, like if it's a 10-minute long niche, like the niche has average 10-minute videos or 20-minute long videos, I'm not even joking the amount of times where I will get a Google document or a physical notepad and I'll watch their entire video multiple times. I'll watch like their most popular video, or I'll watch their outlier video, right? You sort by latest and then watch the outlier video. And what I'll do is I'll watch the first minute and I'll write 0 to 60 seconds. Here's what happened. And I do that for enough of their videos, multiple videos. I'll look at maybe 2, 3, 4 of their outlier videos, and I'll try and find the structure. Okay, their intro is all on average from 0 to 10 seconds of the video. It's only 10-second long intro. Then the first segment of their video, the first part of the topic they're talking about, is 10 seconds to, let's say, 1 minute in. Then topic 2 is from 1 minute to 3 minutes 47. Like I am telling you, I do all of that. I add extra notes, like they do this little editing gimmick every like 30 seconds. They do this, and like the more you do it, right? You take 3 or 4 of their outlier videos, and this might sound like BS, but I guarantee you, to whoever's watching and is taking this business seriously, the people that do this are going to succeed. And if you don't do this, there's a much lower chance that you succeed. I mean, if you're this far into the video, maybe you're good anyways, but trust me, if you do this, you'll see a big difference. I promise you, I've done this several times, and I write out as detailed as I can all the sections, everything that happens, all the little things I can notice, and then I analyze all of the documents and create a structured template, and that's going to be sent to, if I have an editor, the editor, or it's going to be used for myself when I go and create videos. And the goal is literally to just copy your competitors' style exactly, because if they're getting views, they're doing something right with their AVD. So if we can mimic their AVD, then we should be good, right? Now, inside of TubeGen's niche finder, what I can actually do is I can actually just search up his channel @ So I just took his @ here because I lost it. I refreshed the niche finder. You can search up the channel, and we still have this similar channels button. If we want, we can press this. But what I really like is this button right here, copy style. Now, if you have niches that you want to bookmark, you can bookmark them to see how they're doing, let's say by their next upload or whatever. And then, you know, once you're back in your search here, you can check the bookmarks. But pretty much right here, there's this button here that says copy style. And when I press this, it's going to load for like 10 seconds because it's doing something really cool. Now it says successfully created style. I can't even pronounce this because it's not in English. But now we go to AI tools, go to the YouTube automator, or you could just press on this right here, the logo. And this takes us here. Now, if I press on this red style button, I have a lot of styles here, and you can create a new style and, you know, put in the name, add in reference videos. And this is pretty much going to download all of their YouTube transcripts, look at their latest videos, their outlier videos as well, and it's going to pretty much create a style that has the same word count, uses a similar AI voice, and pretty much you can make the style yourself. You can name your style whatever you want, add reference videos, and it's going to copy their scripts, you know, put whatever word count you want, but by copying their style, it actually makes the style for me. So if I press the edit button here, this is what it automatically did. It put the style name as a channel, it put the word count to their average word count, it put the right language, and it even chose a voice for me that's the most similar to their voice, and it put their 2 best outlier videos right here, and it just did everything for me. Like, I didn't have to do anything. Like, literally, I just went here, and boom, I can already go and create my script. Now I'm gonna press on here, press generate title by channel URL, and I literally just copy and paste their channel URL and put this right here. Now this gives me a bunch of titles, but honestly, because I have no idea what these titles say, I don't want to, you know, try and read them. So I'm just gonna go to his channel, go to his latest videos, and go to his latest outlier video, which we already discussed was this one. We already created the thumbnail for it, right? We have the thumbnail right here. And then I'm just going to, because you can manually put in a title, you don't have to use the title generator. It's more of, you know, if you just feel like it. We can turn on web search or whatever we want. And if we want to listen as well, by the way, to this voice, I'll play it so you guys can hear it.
Atme ein, alles weich und sanft.
And just so you guys have a generalized idea, for an entire like 2 to 3 hour long video, the estimated script credits with premium, this is less than, this is like $2.50 for the entire script. Imagine you tried getting an actual scriptwriter. Just for reference, an average scriptwriter pays costs, I think typically I do around $20 to $30 per 1,000 words. So if it was $25, that'd be $425 for the script. Obviously, this guy's not using a scriptwriter either. He's definitely using AI. Maybe he's using TubeGen, to be honest with you. But then all we have to do is generate. So literally it was so quick. I went from the niche finder, right? I copied the style by pressing the button. Then all I did is press the style. Now this is green. And then I copy and pasted his title. So from going to the niche finder, I got to this point. You could do this if you wanted to in less than 10 seconds. Obviously, you should be double checking stuff, making sure you like the style, voice, and all that. But I'm just saying, like, it's pretty quick. And then all you have to do is press this generate button. No prompt needed, no nothing, because TubeGen does everything for you, including reading their transcripts, making yours exactly the same. Within 10 seconds of me pressing the generate button, it's already like 1,000 words in. And it writes pretty quick. We're already about to be at 1,100 now. But yeah, I mean, this is a 3-hour video, so it is going to take a little bit to write it, but this shouldn't take any longer than like 5 minutes. Now that our script is done, and I can't read any of it because it's in German, but I quite frankly don't care. It is 17,200 words, which is only 100 off of 17,100. That is pretty good. Now all we have to do to create the voiceover, it's not like we gotta, copy and paste that, open a new tab. Nope, you just press this button right here, and it's going right to generate our voiceover, which is super, super fast. The entire voiceover will probably be done in like 5 minutes. So now our voiceover is done. It's 5 minutes off of being, or actually 4 minutes off of being 3 hours long. Let's take a listen to it.
Und sie leben in einem kleinen Dorf irgendwo in Europa.
Yeah, all these Germans, they're gonna be falling asleep to this content, and I'm gonna be collecting that ad revenue. As you can see, this just auto-downloaded as well. Now we can actually go over to generate images, and once we press this, it's going to open up a dashboard here. And we have a ton of options we can choose from. You can upload your own image style. It looks like they're just using a painting image style, so I'm not going to use custom image because it does, custom style, because it does take longer to load the images. So I'm just going to select painting here, and it looks like he's using an image every 5 minutes. So for a 3-hour long video, that's 175 minutes. So I'm just gonna set the number to 36 to make this around every 5 minutes. And we can even press the animate option and animate the first few if we wanted to, but in this case, our competitor isn't doing that, so I don't see the need to do that. You can also add additional context if you wanna say, make sure all the people in the images are wearing a hat or something. Then we just press this generate prompts button. But before that, in case anybody's interested, you could also turn on advanced mode here and then make segments. So from 0 to 1 minute, you have 20 images, and then from 1 minute to the 3-hour mark, you have 20 images. So that's like a lot of images in the start, etc. But you can press this button here, and there's a whole entire tutorial on how to use this as well. But we don't need to do all that for this. For this, we're just gonna press generate prompts, and we're gonna press continue. And just so you're wondering, for the 3-hour long script, 3-hour long voiceover, plus all of the images every 5 minutes in here, this is probably gonna cost less than $10 per video. Even if we uploaded a video every single day, which our competitor here is not doing at all, he's uploading a video once or twice a week. So in this case, that twice a week would be, maybe $20 a week. This would be less than $100 a month to run. If I want to do every day, this would be maybe $300 a month to run. And this guy's channel has probably made like 15 grand or something like that, and it's barely 2 months old at this point. So the profit margin there, somebody do the math, it's got to be like very, very high, because 10% of 3,000 is 300, so it is like significantly over 90%. It's like 97%. So pretty much what that generate prompts button did is, first of all, it gives us our very first image here. It also gives us the prompt it used to create this image. So if we want to, we can press download image, or we can press regenerate, and we can type in the prompt here or change it, you know what I mean? And if you press this arrow here, it tells you what part of the script you're using. So it uses this whole section. Keep in mind, if you did an image every 5 seconds, it would be like 1 sentence per image, but because this is 5 minutes, it's summarizing this entire section into 1 image. I don't know what it says because it's in German, like I said. I'm gonna stop saying that, but this would be in English if you did an English channel. And then if you want to, this is pretty much to say, hey, do you like this image, or do you want to go back because you pretty much just spent like 1 cent doing this? Or, do you like it and you generate the rest? If you want to as well, you can press the arrow here, just read the script that it's a part of the script that it's using, and you can change the prompt if you want. So if you can pretty much view the timestamp, so this is from 4:33 to 8:41, you can view the timestamps, view the part of the script, change the prompting. But in my case, I already know that this platform works, and this is a very simple type of channel, so I don't really need to do all that. I can just go ahead and press generate 35 more images, and now it's going to take all these prompts, generate the images for me, and it's actually going to time them out for me. And if you don't know what that means, you're about to find out once this is done generating, which it's already 42% done. Because it's only 36 images, this is going to take less than 1 minute 100% to generate all of them. And if I scroll here, I can actually see all the images now. I can regenerate whichever ones I want. If I want to change up the prompting, I can press here and it shows me which part of the script. It tells me the timestamp. And now imagine, for example, if I want to put this from 27:02.10 to 32:33.99, and I have 36 of these. Now imagine I had 200 images, like I was doing a faster paced video. I'd have to go in my editor, do from 0 seconds to 7.39, and that would probably take multiple hours, which is why we have this render videos button, which pretty much when you press this, it's going to take all of the images and make it this time length. So it's going to make, you know, this image, for example, it's going to make it what? It's going to make it 5 minutes, 21 seconds, and 89 milliseconds, or whatever the exact number is. And it's going to render all them out, so then that way I'll have a folder of all these just images that are now turned into exactly timed videos. And you can literally just drag all of the videos into your video editor, and it will be perfectly timed to match your voiceover. Now, after pressing that render videos button, we get a bunch of different things inside of this folder. So this videos folder, however, is going to have what we're looking for. Now, obviously you get all this other stuff, which you might not need, of course, besides the voiceover, but we already downloaded that before. So this is all pretty much just backup stuff in case you need it. So we go in this videos tab, and then we are going to literally just drag and drop this, right? We're going to drag and drop it. And as you can see, this is now in my timeline. You can use any editor for this. We're actually going to be creating a TubeGen editor soon, so you don't even have to have an editor. But this could be on DaVinci, this could be Premiere Pro, Sony Vegas, literally any editing software. It really doesn't matter because you're just putting this stuff together. Now let's just grab our voiceover from this folder. I mean, we have it in our downloads as well, but this works too. And as you can see, now that I dragged it in, this is at the exact same ending point. And although this is perfectly timed, so as you can see, if I play this, this is what it's going to look like.
Stellen Sie sich vor, es ist das Jahr 1300.
Now what I'm going to do personally is look for one of these longer videos here. Let's say this one. And in most editors, you can do this where we can take the scale, add a timer, the position, and then just go to the end of this. And then we can maybe make this, you know, 135, so it's zoomed in. And we can make it go to the top left, for example, like that. And now if I mute the audio and just like skim through this slowly, it's slowly zooming in and moving just to have something for the viewer to look at, you know, just so it's not a flat image. And then we can just copy and paste this motion. Once again, like I said, once we have a video editor in TubeGen, you will be able to do this as well, just with the simple press of a button. But let's paste that. And now, as you can see, if I skim through this whole video, it's going between. And then it's as simple as pressing, for Premiere at least, pressing Control D. And now what that does is that makes it so everything is faded into each other. So as you can see, if I go over this, it now fades. So everything's zooming in, then it fades. If I go over it slowly, you can see. And I think that took less than 15 seconds to add all the effects and transitions, and the whole video is done. Now I would export it, but I'm going to show you guys just what this looks like with the slowly moving and with the, you know, the voiceover and the fade in. So it looks like this.
Stellen Sie sich vor, es ist das Jahr 1347.
And as you can see, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it would slowly, it's moving very slow, of course, because these images are pretty much a few minutes long each. But now, as you can see, we have a whole 3-hour-long video, and it's not like it took us 3 hours to make that video. It took us 15 minutes to make the whole 3-hour-long video, including going from finding the niche, pressing on, you know, create style, etc. And as I mentioned before, with a TubeGen subscription comes with a 2 times longer version of this video where I go in things even more in depth. So this channel was made entirely with TubeGen. I'm going to be showing a niche that, you know, you can hire an editor for, how to hire an editor. I'll show you live how to do all that stuff. And like I said, this all comes with a subscription. And the most important thing, I'm going to be showing you some stuff that I probably can't even say on YouTube. So I couldn't post it here if I wanted to, and it's pretty much secret methods that you can use to pretty much boost your videos into the algorithm, number 1. Number 2, make sure you don't get banned on YouTube ever. How to upload your video and optimize, and how to use your statistics to further create more channels and make better videos. I mean, there's a whole list. I mean, think about how long this video is, and it's probably 2 times longer in the TubeGen course, and you get that with any of the subscriptions, same with the niche finder. And I hope if you've made it this far and watched everything that I've had to say, you're convinced at this point. And if you've made it this far, then you're lucky, because I actually have a link in the description that I'm not mentioning till now, that it's my referral link, so you can actually get some money off of your first month with TubeGen. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Peace.